just a bloke in a bar.
What are you up to, mate?
I don't know much, mate. Just doing me nails.
Winners win, huh?
Winners win and paint their nails. Got some toilet water here too.
Oh,
Destiny. I told you, it was Destiny, boys.
Stefano's stuck. You're up, mate.
Oh, fuck. I don't even know how to do this shit. Oh, this feels rank, to be honest. There you go. There you go, boys.
There he is.
There you go.
Can be the golf.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
Congrats, mate.
Oh, yeah.
How's it feel?
Very good.
Oh, incredible. Absolutely incredible. Welcome to an episode of Bloke in a Bar. Let's just get straight into it. The Brisbane Broncos have won the 2025 NRL Premiership. What an absolutely incredible game. Absolutely incredible game. So we're going to do Face the Music first. It'll be quick. And then we're going to get straight into the review. So let's Face the Music, brought to you by Sportsbet. Massive thank you as always to Sportsbet. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. I want to start off with my man, Pat Kenny. He's the biggest star at Face the Music today. Pat Kenny Music, go and give him a follow if you haven't already. He's written a theme song, which we're going to debut for the last edition of Face the Music this year. Here it is.
Matty Beacon Room. Oh, Tim and Hammy too. It's time to face the music. Time to face the music.
Wow. that's
Sing along if you know the words.
Oh, wow. Jeez, there's passion in that.
Yeah. Teddy Swims, Teddy who?
Yeah.
Pat Kenny, go and give him a follow. Love your work, mate. We'll definitely be using that here on Face the Music. Love it. Check him out on Instagram. All right, so the big dance, Face the Music. It was Matty versus Denon for a majority stake in Grumpy Coffee and Bloke in a Bar. Plenty on the line. Plenty on the line. So, obviously, we have the Broncos 26 defeat the Storm 22. Denon had the Broncos head-to-head for $2.10. Matty had the Broncos 1-12 for $3.15. Try scorers. Matty had Katoni Staggs, didn't score. Denon had Dean Mariner, scored twice, $2.50. For the Clive Churchill, Denon already had Payne Haas in the bank at $18, obviously didn't get it. Matty had Ben Hunt, didn't get it. Denon selected Reece Walsh at $7. He stood up when it counted. So the grand final result, Denon, $11.60. Matty, $3.15.
A dominant win.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Face the Music champion for 2025.
Yes.
Denon Kev.
Oh, man. See, we stand up when the big games come. We stand up and we win the Premiership.
Yep.
Thanks for coming. We win well, too. Dominated the Premiership.
Now, obviously, you've seen the Broncos win premierships in the past, but never have you won Face the Music in the same year. Would this be one of the best days of your life?
Close to when we won the preseason challenge earlier this year.
Yes.
We've broken the preseason curse.
Yep, you have.
First team to win a preseason challenge and also the Premiership.
First team to finish above 12th, I think, after winning the preseason challenge.
So that curse is broken. We're in a dynasty. Listen, I'd like to say it wasn't expected, but I knew when we got to the big dance that Matty would crumble. I knew he would crumble.
Yep.
And look, the right person won Face the Music.
Yep.
It's an accurate portrayal of my tipping compared to your boys.
Yep.
And I'd just like to just thank myself, to be honest, because I'm the one that put on this performance every single week.
Yeah, well played, mate. It's been a pleasure to watch greatness up close each week. And, look, I think it's fair to say deserving winner this year at Face the Music. So well played.
Wow.
Well played.
Wow.
Welcome to the club, mate.
Get your green jacket.
Oh, my God.
Can we get a leaderboard somewhere?
Oh, my
an honor
God.
award,
Guru,
maybe?
the Ashley Klein of Face the Music, just trying to always make it about him. Bringing it back to himself.
Gurus wins the COVID year. Like, it didn't really matter.
Yeah,
It was
big
king of the
asterisk.
team.
Mate,
Yep.
congratulations winning the Guru Trophy.
Oh, come on.
Oh, wow. That's Face the Music
Well
brought
played.
to you by Sportsbet, guys. A massive thank you. What an incredible year. Couldn't have done it without Sportsbet as well. So really, really do appreciate the support and big plans in the future, guys. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's just get straight into the review. We'll go quickly. Reece Walsh, he's the hungriest player. Use code CC Medal. CC Medal for $7 off chicken restaurants. Also with the Bloke Club, if you spend $30, you get $10 off. Massive thank you to Menulog's hungriest player, Menulog. Let's just get straight into it. Okay, the Broncos defeat the Melbourne Storm in a super entertaining grand final. It had everything, end-to-end tries, great performances, 26-22. I'd love to get your boys' thoughts on the grand final.
I was out there. It's the first grand final I've been to in a few years, and fuck, I enjoyed it. The crowd was just unreal out there. What do you reckon, Hammy? Matty? 80% Brisbane.
It had to be. Yeah,
Like-
definitely felt like a Brisbane home event, that one. Yeah, they were so loud.
I'm not a huge fan of that stadium. God, when it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
When it's packed, yeah.
When it's packed
Yeah.
and when you've got passionate fans getting stuck into it. It was unreal last night.
Timmy?
Unbelievable game of football, mate. You sort of got a feeling going into it that it was going to be a bit of a points fest, a free-flowing game, and deliver something special. It did exactly that. And mate, just the storylines to come out of this Brisbane Broncos outfit. It's just every time they do anything, they're exciting things to talk about. From Madge's incredible, not just career, but the 3-year period that he's had, to Reece Walsh, the wonder kid, what he's done this year, and to cap it all off with the Clive Churchill medal, to redemption for Ben Hunt, to the sort of fairy tale, I don't want to say finish for Adam Reynolds, who could go around again next year, but so much to talk about, and one of the great grand finals.
Incredible. Hammy, what do you think, mate?
Unbelievable. I mean, when they were down at half time again, I thought, geez, are the Storm the sort of team that's going to be able to keep them out? But to do it in every final as well through the series, to come back from halftime deficits, and just some huge plays from Reece Walsh. He was unbelievable. I know we'll unpack that later. But then both your starting halves to go off as well and still find a way to make it all work. It was amazing to see, such an incredible performance and a great year for the Broncos.
Matty, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, incredible. I think this final series for the Broncos is going to be talked about forever. To be honest, as you just said, all these comebacks, like really let it sink in what happened, in this final series. Absolutely ridiculous. Coming back in all 3 games. I think Walsh, that try is going to be talking about forever. That performance is going to be spoken about forever. But he's so many defensive plays as well. The 2 tries he saved, Kamikamitha and perhaps Stags at the end, and I think it was with Mariner. Ezra Mam, he forced 2 turnovers. I honestly believe that Mam's now been in the top 3 players in 2 grand finals. It's just outrageous, and it was so exciting from start to finish. It was, I felt it was a pleasure to be out there, to be honest. Yeah,
I think what's good, even if you're just a neutral fan, it was definitely an exciting grand final. Had everything, crazy tries, crazy defence. Man, I cannot believe it. What's weird, and we spoke about it last week, I said, listen, all the logical thing tells me, Bellamy, that spine, the experience, it all points towards the Melbourne Storm should win this. I just said, but I got this feeling inside me that it's destiny for the Broncos to win, and they've done it.
All logic pointed to your season finishing in Canberra. in reality, they have defied, we always talk about that Cameron Smith quote, who you are in the regular season reflects who you are in finals. Nope. I think it was actually true for the Melbourne Storm last night. The Broncos, though...
to me, it was kind of true for the Broncos in the sense that they let people fucking score on them and then bring them back in. But, they just improve. Minor
premiers, 4-time premiers, premiership favourites, be down by double digits in all those games, come back and win. They haven't conceded a point in 2 second halves in a row against the Penrith Panthers and the Melbourne Storm.
Crazy. I'd argue it's one of the toughest runs to a grand final ever. To go dynasty breaking... to go the minor premierships, who won the minor premiership by 2 games, then to go the premiership favourites. You literally couldn't get harder to a grand final.
Not to mention you had to win in round 27 to get top 4.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible. I mean, I'm so happy for the boys. This is what they could. This is the greatness. Everyone knows that they've had this in it. It just hasn't been brought out yet. But this is what they deserve. And what I think is so special about this is this is their legacy. Sometimes when, let's say, some young boys come in and they win a premiership, and a premiership was won 2-3 years before they come, they can take the lessons and the aura and the systems from that team that won the grand final. Whereas what's so special about this is purely, and I mean purely, this roster's premiership. It's not built on anyone else's backs. It's on their backs. Because go back to 2020. I'll never forget. I even remember the round. 2020, round 10, against the Tigers, it was 48-0. And I remember the Broncos boys were standing behind the goalpost. I remember sitting there as a former Bronco player, obviously nobody in the grand scheme of things, but just wondering, how did a thing that I love so much fall so far? With all the resources, with all the people they can recruit, with all the support, how has it fallen so far? There were Broncos players crying. And so I'm sitting there going, I don't know, I just don't know where from here. If we're getting beaten 48-0 by the Tigers, where does this club go? And there was one glimmer of hope. Behind the try line, it was Payne Haas, Paddy Carrigan. Corey Paix was also a part of that game as well. And I just remember sitting there going, this will either make or break these boys. They'll either go, fuck this, I'm going to another club, this is not worth it, or I'm going to dig my heels in. And Payne Haas and Paddy Carrigan have carried this team from a wooden spoon to 2 grand finals and a premiership. Like, that is greatest of all time stuff. Like, we always talk about players going to teams that are already gone to win a premiership. They have literally dragged this club from a wooden spoon, the first in its history, to a premiership. Unbelievable.
I was sitting with one of my mates last night who's a big league fan, and I said, fuck, it's amazing for the guys that were there in 2020 that won the spoon, like Carrigan. And he goes, was Carrigan in that team? I go, mate, he was the captain. He was in year 8. It was unbelievable.
Unbelievable stuff. Like, to really be a part of that journey, like, as I said, from a wooden spoon, I'd always argue that it's the worst wooden spoon ever won, just with the talent that they have, all the way to a grand final. And guess who the coach was of the West Tigers that beat them 48-0?
Madge.
Wow.
Madge.
You're
Michael
welcome.
Maguire.
You're welcome. A lot of people are sleeping on that. So he's obviously won the 30-0 with the Kiwis. He's obviously won an Origin, a decider at Suncorp. He's won a premiership with the Broncos. Don't sleep on the fact that he got the Tigers to 9th as well.
Don't sleep on it.
Not easy to do.
Not easy.
What a stellar career.
That doesn't just add to it as well, though. Like, we're going to do our season reviews over the next few weeks, and I'm sure when we get to Parramatta, we'll go, okay, well, they got a new coach this year, so they're changing systems. So, it's going to take time. So to fucking Brisbane.
Yeah. Mental.
Like, new coach walking in, could he be further from Kevin Walters?
Oh, it couldn't be further. And the whole yarn was these guys are not mentally hard enough, and there's going to be at least 4 or 5 guys moved in. And I'll be honest, I thought there would probably be 1 or 2 that it just wouldn't click for, and they'd probably go somewhere else. Michael Maguire is the giant slayer. He is the giant slayer. He broke a drought in the Super League. He comes back, breaks a 40-year drought in the NRL, then goes to New Zealand, record win against Australia, then beats Queensland in Suncorp Game 3, hadn't been done for 15 years. Then a 19-year drought for the Brisbane Broncos. In his first year at the club, he wins a premiership. That is unheard of. He's the 6th ever coach to win premierships at 2 different clubs.
And it's credit to the Broncos as well for making that big decision to bring him in. Like, I remember at the time the chat was they were in a grand final 18 months ago. But once again, the Broncos that I grew up with, pretty good has never been fucking good enough.
Yeah.
It's win comps.
Absolutely.
That's the currency.
And how do we win it? With second half grit. How do we lose ours? Anyway, so...
And that's Campy, like what around Madge, and it's all about man management, right? Like, so you mentioned that there might have been 2 or 3 players who didn't look like they were cut out, to play under Madge and be tough enough to win a premiership and go all the way. They might not have been cut out for it mentally, but that's what a good man manager does and a good coach does. They get the best out of players, and 12 months ago, certain players might not have been mentally resilient enough, but Madge gets the best out of them. Like, that's his job.
It's unbelievable. And just like, I want to give the players a credit too, because that's been the whole knock on them. And they have stood up to every challenge that Michael Maguire's put in front of them. To win a premiership in the first year, they deserve just as much credit as Madge, because it's one thing, Madge can be as tough as he wants to be, but if the playing group doesn't respond well, it's going to be a disaster. They responded really well. And so for all the people saying, oh, they're rock stars, they're prima donnas, they're this, they clearly are not that. And that's why, regardless of how much we've struggled as a club over the last few years, I've always had belief that this playing group can win a premiership. I've always believed it, because they are... Don't be fooled by the fucking nail polish. Don't be fooled by all that. These guys are dogs. They are unbelievably good footy players. They just need a little bit of direction. They need to mature a little bit more. And to get the win last night against a Melbourne Storm who in the first half looked red hot, absolutely red hot. So I couldn't be more proud for the boys. This is their premiership. It's no one else's premiership. It's not past players. It's not future players. The players that are there now, they built this from the fucking ground, from the worst place you can be, the most disappointing, darkest day in the club's history, all the way to a premiership. It's one of the great leadership knocks by Paddy Carrigan, Payne Haas, and Corey Pake's obviously been at the club as well. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and I think it was Reece Walsh that mentioned in one of his speeches, or Reynolds last night, like, credit to Kevin Walters as well. Played a role.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge role in that.
I like that Walshy said, Kevy started and Madge finished it, because Kevy does deserve a lot of credit. He built this roster from the wooden spoon to where it is today, at least most of it. And I'll always have respect and admiration for Kevy. When he left, been very easy for him to throw his toys out, go in the media, because it wasn't a sure thing why he should leave. He didn't say a peep, didn't say a word, didn't want to derail the Broncos. And that shows you that Kevy, doesn't matter whether he's a coach or not the coach, he always puts the Broncos first. Just amazing stuff.
I don't know if I've seen a roster with more belief that they can win from anywhere. And it's not a hindsight thing of, oh yeah, cool, the amount of comeback wins they had this year and what they did in the final series from all these 12, 14, 16 point deficits to overcome. Like we spoke about it last week, Kempy. the way they did against the Penrith Panthers, and just how calm Madge looked in the box last week in the dying stage that they could come back and do it. And we spoke pre-show in the green room about it, but to emphasise that the comeback again last night didn't shock anyone, or as if it wasn't a part of the game plan, was just Payne Haas having that extended time off the field where it just went, he was off while they were down by 12 and they just went, no, get Payne Haas on fresh for that last 25, 30 minutes, whatever it is. We will come from behind and win this game.
Incredible coaching.
Because if they were panicking, Payne Haas plays 80 again.
Yeah. And who knows, then Storm could have run them down in the last 5 to 10. The guts and the coaching just now to go. Payne Haas plays 80 minutes last week, so it's not like Madge wouldn't do it if he needed to do it, if he felt desperate to do it. To identify that, then come into a grand final, you're down by 10 or down by 12 or whatever it was, and to have the guts, the mental fortitude to wait, to believe that this roster that's on the playing field right now, they will hold the line. They'll hold it for long enough. Payne Haas gets back on and just runs an absolute muck through the middle.
And I think it also just shows how much respect, and so he should, for Pat Carrigan.
Oh, bro.
Not playing last week. I imagine he would have known all week he was going to play 80, go the distance in that one. I thought he was tremendous as well.
What an incredible bloke. Like, Pat Carrigan, obviously there to the darkest days. I've always felt he would be a captain of whether it's his country, his state, obviously, as well as the club. But to lift the club from where it was to here, like Paddy Carrigan, like, take a bow. And also, these players, all of them could get more money at other clubs. This is what sacrifice gets you. This is if you get together and you say, boys, we can win a premiership here. We need to take pay cuts. This is what he can get you. And I'll tell you another thing. If you're a young person, girl or guy out there, and you ever were questioning how important hard work is, look no further than the Brisbane Broncos. All the talent in the world, like the most talent you could ever want in a footy player, that was not enough. It was the hard work that won them the premiership. And Paddy Carrigan, he exemplifies that. To go out and play, just get through the work he did with the pace of that game, with how quick the ball was getting through the middle there with Hughes, with Munster. It was just everyone in the Broncos side. To lose Ben Hunt, Adam Reynolds, both halves, Karapani in the dying stages where we need a winger there, and they still kept it together. I can't believe, like any other time, you lose both halves in a grand final and they're your most experienced players. Like if you take them two out of that side, their average age is like 24 or something like that. They both go off and they still find a way to hang in there and win the game. Like they were ahead by 4 with like 15 to 20 to go and they hung in there for 15 minutes. It's just amazing. An amazing premiership win by the Brisbane Broncos, and the town deserves it. That's one thing, like through the ups and downs, the fans have always turned out for the Broncos, always got the highest average crowd, and they've finally got one they deserve, which is a premiership. I'm so happy for the boys. I'm so happy. And like that jersey now is famous because of them, not because of anyone else, because of them. Unbelievable. And what I like about it, they did it their way. Like, they weren't trying to imitate the great early 2000s and late 90s, whatever. They did it their way, the way they wanted to do it, obviously paying respect to their past. It's just, it's so freaking cool.
My favourite thing
good
on that, Kempy, is, as we know, the old saying goes, premierships are won on defence. This one wasn't. This one was won on points.
One crazy run on Reece Walsh just going absolutely insane.
Yeah, but like in saying that, that's 2 games in a row they haven't conceded a point in the second half.
Yeah, their second half defence is outstanding. But like, I know what you're saying.
It's the most grand final that is points wise. But it's like, for me, it was like the defense is what I didn't think they'd be able to do.
What's funny, I think they went into the grand final with the 7th best defence. But in the last 5 games, they had the best defence on their line, I think. And Storm had the 2nd best defence.
When it mattered.
Yeah.
Like that'd be to have the 7th best defence going into finals. And they conceded a few, like what was it, 22 points last night, 28 against the Raiders. Like ranking 7th, I'd imagine that'd be the lowest in a long time.
Yeah, it'd have to be. Because like most teams that win it, they're usually around 12 to 14. Their average was about 20.
They conceded 30 to the Cowboys 5 weeks ago.
Mental, absolutely mental stuff.
Are they? I probably don't think they will be. Like just based on the history of the game, like we talk about it every year. I've done this show with you for 5 years. We get to the end, we get to round 22, 23, and there's always 3 teams that we go, if they catch fire, they never fucking do.
Yeah.
Has this team, have they shattered the glass? Are the Cronulla Sharks sitting there going, well, hold on.
If they can do
it, we can do it.
Yeah, you're right. Like every year, you really do have if they catch fire, there's always a chat about one team. If they catch fire, But then usually what happens is Penrith or Storm get, or Roosters or one of the big dog
the
clubs.
script comes out and it is Penrith, Storm. They do their things. They grind you out. They win. This year's it's just
a team caught fire.
Flipped upside down.
Yeah, they just I mean, the middle of the year, and we said it was nonsense at the time, but the nonsense that was getting talked about, Michael Maguire and all the carry on, so bizarre. We're talking about a club that everyone that knows anything about footy has said the one thing they need is a hard edge. Michael Maguire goes in there, tries to give them a hard edge, and people are saying it's too hard. It's like, what do you want? What do you want? And then Michael Maguire, after the game, Cam Smith asks him about that, and he says, blah, 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 and he's absolutely right. Everyone can keep chatting. He'll keep winning premierships. Just amazing stuff. I remember the chat we had in 2023. Who would have thought, 2024, sorry.
Yes.
Who would have thought, having a chat to him on the corner of the field there, that he'd be there the next year winning a premiership?
Yeah, unbelievable. I can't believe, it was just after it was announced that he was heading up there. He was so excited for it, though. He was so ready for it. And, mate, he's had a hell of a year. And, to get them all to buy in and just to kind of weather the storm of they're not getting it, they're not on board with him. Yeah, yes, they are. Just let me do my thing. And they peaked at the right time, got the job done.
Absolutely.
Another crazy thing about Madge too, when I was at the New South Wales Cup Grand Final last year, which was exactly a year last week, and Madge was there. He was there as New South Wales coach. That was a year ago. He didn't even have the job yet.
That's insane.
Jeez.
Yeah.
He got the job literally a year and 4 days ago or something.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, speaking of him in the grand final, you could just see he was so, and look, I remember when he went to the Tigers, and I was all on board with him at the Tigers. I was like, that's great. They don't have the best roster, but you get this guy's under Madge, he'll whip them together, and he'll be getting the best out of them. And then it got a year or two in, and I'm going, oh, shit, maybe Madge's old school mentality just doesn't work with the new generation. How fucking wrong I was, and how much evidence does it show that, you need a good environment to be great. And even Michael Maguire, the great Michael Maguire that's won multiple premierships now, needed a good environment. So I was so wrong about that. He was so, think about how frustrating it would have been for Michael Maguire, where blokes like myself and other people saying, oh, maybe his old school ways doesn't work. And he's sitting there going, if you were actually in the building and seeing what I had to deal with, you would be saying something different. So wrong about that. And then last year, just speaking, the passion he was speaking about, you could tell that he was looking at a club with all this talent, with all this resources. You could tell he knew he had something special there. And he even said in the post-match press conferences that the day he walked in, he knew immediately he had something special there.
I'd love to sit down and watch Tales of Tiger Town again.
Yeah, see the
in
difference.
Reflection, I'm going to feel like it was on subtitles the first time.
Oh, mate. Because
you're going to look at it completely fucking different.
It's completely different. Because I'm sitting there watching, and his intensity, I'm going, the players are just not responding to his intensity. So maybe this generation just doesn't do it. But it's wrong. It's the other way around. The environment hasn't been created that forces the players to do it.
I do what I think Madge has done incredibly well this year is that, he arrives there, and obviously by the end of the year, they had that hard edge and all that sort of stuff. But I think throughout the year, he sort of had to, in my opinion, lean out of what I know of Michael Maguire. I think, I've said it before, I think there's a lot of coaches in the NRL who coach the team they want. They want to coach Penrith. They want to coach Storm. You don't have that team.
No.
You have to coach the team that you have. And I think that he has done incredibly well to coach the team that he has to their strengths. And then when the biggest moments came, they responded by leaning into his strengths.
Yeah. Brilliant coach.
Which is perfect.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We always talk about man management and how tough a worker he is. He's also a brilliant coach, tactician, because I reckon he realised mid-year, and he might have been going really hard on him. He might have taken the brakes off a little bit mid-year and refreshed him up, which would probably be part of the plan. But mid-year, I reckon, I'm with you, mate. I reckon he realised, listen, no matter what I do to this team, they will not be the Melbourne Storm. They will not be Penrith. Yep. So I need to lean into the fact that we're going to have people beating us by 14 points, but they just love that shit. They love to be able to come back and he leant all the way into it and then just said, listen, I'll make them the fittest second half team in the competition so that when those points start raining, I'll be able to defend the other team coming back. It's just to do that against Bellamy, it's just unbelievable stuff. Where does his career go from here? He's got the biggest club in the competition with all the resources. He has now so much weight in the recruitment. Everyone's going to want to play with Walsh, with Haas, with Michael Maguire. It's just absolutely incredible.
You ever look at when that game starts? So Harry Grant's, the Melbourne Storm spine. Harry Grant, Hughes, Munster, Pappy. Doesn't get better than that. We all agree. Broncos run out with Pakes, Reynolds, Hunt, Walsh. 30 minutes in, Ben Hunt goes to hooker. Ezra comes on at 5'8". It's probably our best spine. You go, okay, sweet. 15 minutes later, Adam Reynolds is gone. Okay, fuck. Corey Pake's back out there. Ben Hunt into the halfback role. And then with 10 minutes to go and the game's in the balance, you lose Ben Hunt as well. Like, who moved into the halves? Was it like a Smoothie or someone that just fucking jumped
I think Smoothie jumped in there with Mam.
So you finish with a spine of Pakes, Ezra Mam at halfback, or Smoothie in the halves, and Reece Walsh to take down Harry Grant, Jerome Hughes, Cam Munster, Pappenhausen.
It's honestly, it's one of the great grand final performances. Like, it'll get lost in the noise a little bit because of the 5 weeks before without Reynolds. Everyone's like, well, they played good footy anyway. So people would just go, oh, well, they played good footy without Reynolds. He's still the starting number 7. Like, it's still a big loss. It's a huge loss. And then when Ben Hunt went down, it was just like, okay, maybe the footy gods are just cruel. But somehow, some way, they hung on. As I said, this is their legacy. They deserve every bit of rap praise they get. Enjoy it. Carry on like a pork chop. Do whatever you want. Don't get arrested, but just enjoy yourselves because you fucking deserve it. Now let's talk about Reece Walsh. It is the greatest individual performance I've ever seen in Clubland, ever. And, people say I'm biased towards the Broncos. I don't give a shit. It's the greatest one I've ever seen. I don't care. I've never seen in such a big game a player absolutely dominate another side in attack and defence.
I think it is by far and away the best individual grand final performance I've seen. And to your point, when you do things, has to matter.
That's why it's the best.
It has to fucking
Obviously,
matter.
there's been better NRL.
There's been better. There's been
but
incredible.
Grand final matters.
Yeah.
It's a grand final
on the biggest stage. When you go through that game, like there was, I put it on Instagram today. There's like 7 plays in that game that he either scores a try, sets one up, or saves a try. They didn't win 40-0. He wasn't running downhill. That was against the Melbourne Storm where they won by 4 points and they were down by 10 at halftime.
It's just
unbelievable. Like we spoke about it last week that I sort of mentioned how the Melbourne Storm have this incredible history of stopping Hayne, Barber, Turbo, guys at their best. People at home thought I was comparing him to them. I wasn't. But now I'm going to.
Oh, absolutely.
He fucking shits on them. He's got a trophy. He's got
crazy.
a Clive.
And I've never heard Bellamy say this. In the post-match press conference, they said, did you have a plan for Walsh? He immediately interrupted the reporter and said, it didn't bloody work, did it? Filthy. So I've never heard Bellamy say our plan didn't work. And that is a question that we're going to have to ask. Yes, was Tommy Turbo longer? Was Hayne longer when it comes to form? But none of them went to a grand final and did it. It goes down as one of the best runs of form we've ever seen, in my opinion.
If Pappy scores on that last play and Melbourne win the grand final in unbelievable circumstances, I'm sorry, Walsh still gets Mike Life.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
If Eli Katoa set that try up, he's second best on the field, I think.
It's funny you say
He
that.
cannot go past Reece Walsh.
It's funny you say that because the second half, I was getting stuff ready for like who's going to win the Clive. I had Katoa because he was fucking unbelievable. And I was sitting there going, well, if I put everyone's going to say I'm biased, but I was like, but Walsh has been the best player on the field. Even if Storm win, he has been. But you're right, mate. Now, I guess that's a question I want to ask you guys. Considering the fact that it's about 6 games of great form, and then considering the fact that he won the grand final, a premiership on his back, is it better than previous years of the Haynes, the Tommy Turbos, the Barbers?
I think it is because when you do things, matters. You beat up on teams in the regular season. It's not nothing. It's impressive, but mate, to do it in the way that he did it against Canberra, Penrith, Melbourne, it doesn't get harder than that. I think it has to go down as the greatest run from an individual.
Jimmy?
I think so, yeah, just because, as you said, Rube, timing matters. And to do it in finals, 3 games on the trot against this unbelievable Penrith Panthers dynasty, to win it against them when it mattered, to do it against this unbelievable Melbourne Storm with one of the best spines we've ever seen, with probably the best coach we've ever seen. It matters from Reece Walsh. And as you said, like the regular season, that's great when, Turbo, Barber, Hayne had a lot of their best runs. And I know they did it early in finals, but they were all stopped. Tommy Turbo didn't get to a grand final. The other 2 got to grand finals and didn't have major impacts in those games. There are lots of great plays in this game, but in my opinion, Reece Walsh pretty well single-handedly won it for them. And going into the game was like, all right, Walsh and Payne Haas need to fire. Haas was okay by his standards, but wasn't his best game of all time. But Reece Walsh, he basically did it off his own back. And we know that we've always said when it comes to Reece Walsh that he'll play all this high upside football where he'll throw these lavish passes and chip for himself and do all these things. And when they come off, it'll look great. But when it doesn't, it can go messy very quickly and pear-shaped. Mate, for about 2 months now, 9 out of 10 things he's going for are coming off, and he's executing every single one of them. And the best thing about this game is, as you said, sure, he pulled off all the big plays in attack and was the difference there, but the defensive plays of the knocking the ball out of Kamikamitha's hands for a near certain try, the tackle on Ryan, the coverage, I should say, on Ryan Pappenhausen where he forced him to flick back in field. This is Pappy, one of the quickest fullbacks in the game over a short distance. And then the feint on Eli Qatar and Pappenhausen pretty well on the buzzer, which essentially won them the game as well. 3 of the best defensive plays you'll see, not what he's known for. So, mate, I think with the grand final under his belt, it's the best run.
I tell you what, that defensive play is one of the best defensive plays I've ever seen in a grand final. Now, granted, you've got your Sattler tackles and that. They'll always be the GOAT. The mental, like to have you so zoned in that you've quickly measured that Ezra will probably catch Katoa. So you're going to go for the big play. Imagine if he dives and Katoa just runs under the post. He would be, that's the game over. That is game over. To have the guts to identify everything that's happening that quickly and still make the tackle on Pappy, it's one of the great defensive plays in a grand final. On the buzzer, like that's the game. Right there, that is the premiership in a nutshell. And it was a Reece Walsh defensive play that won it. A defensive play is just... Anyway, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, completely agree with all that. You touched on the Tui tackle, and I reckon that was key because if that was a try... Yeah. The Storm just have all the momentum there at the start of the half. So that one for me was particularly clutch and probably swung the momentum back to the Broncos as well. But to answer your question, I think does this put his run of form above those other guys? I think it does because you guys have covered off on it. But would you rather win a Dally M or a premiership with you? Like that's what everyone plays for, a premiership, and have the Clive as well. Just peaking at the right time. I think this probably elevates his amazing run of form over some of those guys.
And I think that the other boys potentially, like leading into the grand final last night, had higher highs and probably better patches within the streak of form of they're all sort of that 8 to 10-ish game run. They hit higher heights. So if the Broncos didn't get home that grand final last night, I'd say, you know what? I don't think it probably was, and I think potentially there was others there. But to get the grand final and the Churchill on top of it all, I think he's topped them.
Well, I'd say go this far. Even if they won the premiership but he was quiet, I would still say the other boys had a better year. But it's the fact that he wasn't just good. It's the greatest individual grand final performance we've ever seen. Now, granted, you've got the Cleary situation, and could you say that's the greatest moment? Probably, like when it comes to changing the game, 20 minutes. But for the whole 80 minutes, where it was just unbelievable form, well, we've just never seen anything like that. Now, granted, if you've got Cleary is still the greatest ever, I'm not going to fucking argue. Like, that was amazing, but it's just the whole game. What do you got there, mate?
I was just going to say, I don't think I've ever seen, and this may be recency bias, but I genuinely don't think I've ever seen one person have so much output in an entire final series, especially when they were not favourites for any of the games.
That's so true.
Like, seriously. Like, I know Cleary's like one of the finals GOATs, and, you could probably pinpoint one of the years, but, like, just sheer output, I can't think of anyone.
Reece Walsh was at 50-1 for the Clive 5 weeks ago.
50
I
to
did
1.
Wow. I did a reel for it where I went through the guys. I didn't say his name. And Broncos fans absolutely hammered me as they have for a month straight. Shout out to you, deserved every fucking bit of it. 50-1 he was, as was Payne Haas.
I want to point one more thing out. When Mam, Reynolds, and Cobbo went down, and everyone was like, and me included, was like, oh, that's probably that fifth little period probably cost the Broncos their season. That was the last game they lost.
Wow.
Like, he truly put the club on his back. Like, even during this time, Ben Hunt has been solid, but he hasn't got all these try assists and killing. Like, it has just been Reece Walsh. Like, he's the guy where all our points are. You've got the greatest ever tactician, you could argue, in Craig Bellamy, sitting there he's got weeks to prepare, thinking the Broncos going to be there, and even he couldn't stop it. Even he was left going, I don't know how to stop a guy like Reece Walsh. It's just,
mate, I don't think you can. I'll be honest. Like, with the levels that Reece Walsh is hitting, with his speed, with his strength, with his ball playing, I know this sounds probably silly. I don't think you can shut him down. Like, I think you can limit his output, but you're not going to shut him down like Craig Bellamy. You've spoken about it, Roo. He has full-blown shut-down players for the best part of 2 decades. When Reece Walsh is in form like this, and he has even a little bit of momentum from the middles, which he's always going to get with Pat Carey and Payne Haas, I don't think you can stop him.
It's crazy. Man, I'll never forget all those years ago. We've been about 5 years ago, and I used to do reaction videos for young guys coming through. And one Reece Walsh came across. I don't know how it came to me, got sent to me or whatever. And it was this little fella in a headgear. And I remember watching the highlights just going, the way this kid moves is like ran off like, you know, and obviously you don't want to say that because he hasn't played NRL yet and all that kind of stuff, but he was gliding across the ground. And I remember saying in that moment, I said, I reckon this guy can be the fullback for the Broncos after Darius retires. Did I ever think he'd be this good? No way. Like I thought he'd be good, but great like this. Like his career now is on a trajectory to match anyone if he continues going this route. And I'm just so happy for him. And like, obviously I don't know Walshy that well, but just when it's just so good as a fan to see him from a young teenager going to school. You see all those old videos. He's from the Gold Coast as well. So that like there's that to see him go all the way to here. And like, you know, life hasn't been easy. If you've read his story, did you guys read his story on the week? Like, so, you know, go to Code Sports. We're talking about his mum basically walked out and just never came home. His father raised him by himself. His mum had issues with drugs. He had a child when he was like 19 or, you know, and then that was worrying Walshy because he didn't want to have the same situation that his father had because he had kids when he was younger. Like this kid, he hasn't been a silver spoon, like that everything's gone well for him. He has had to fight for everything he's got. And then to have this moment, it's truly an incredible story, And I'm so happy for him.
He picks up his life and moves to New Zealand too.
It's just, and then he calls Reynolds back on Mad Monday whilst at the Warriors and he said, I'll come back and I hope you win a premiership. Mate, like, and that's the thing, like with Walshy, like, yeah, okay, he's a rock star. Yeah, okay, he might piss you off. I get all that. He's a good human being. He's a good bloke. Like if you've ever spoke to this guy is a good human being. Yeah, I remember watching an interview with him a couple of weeks ago and they kind of, I think it was Chamis maybe that asked him kind of about that whole thing. Like he carries on a little bit and he layers up. And Walshy gave a pretty intelligent answer. He was like, well, I know that like people know who I am, but I can't let that stop me from being me because then I'd never want to, I always promised myself that I wouldn't stop being me if I ever played NRL. And he's absolutely right. Like so many players get to that stage and societal pressures just put a clamp on them because they're just like, oh, I don't want to be embarrassed. Like he's not embarrassed of anything, like absolutely anything. And it's a really good lesson for young people as well. Like look at Walshy. He you know, he's got the nail polish. He's doing whatever he wants to do. And that's a sign of strength in yourself. Like you strengthen yourself.
Just bear with me for a moment here. This will be a lot to take in. But you're going to love this. When we're looking at, you know, those Hayne, Barber, Turbo seasons, right? So Turbo, that 2021 season, unbelievable, right? Once again, Supercoach stats aren't everything.
Yeah.
But they reflect how good you are in attack, essentially. Turbo that season had an unbelievable season. He averaged 143 Supercoach points per game, which is astronomical, right? Walsh in the last 7 weeks, including finals against Canberra, against fucking Penrith, against Melbourne in a grand final, he's averaged 137. Turbo, that season, towards the back end of the season, the last 6 weeks, he had 2 shots at Melbourne. He lost both of them. He came up with a grand total of 2 try assists and he broke 7 tackles. Reece Walsh got 1 shot at them in a grand final and doubled all those stats. Like, it's unfucking believable. If you think it's not the best, you just don't like Reece Walsh.
Yeah, it's fucking unbelievable. Like we've never seen a team of that caliber be torn apart like that by and as you said, Matty, they were underdogs in every, and not just a little bit of underdogs. They're paying 210. They were underdogs in every single game. And I guess that's one thing that you can't measure for is just pure talent and greatness. Like, how do you measure that? How could you ever expect that Walsh would come out and do that? You just couldn't.
And talking about Kempy, like, how do you stop a bloke like Reece Walsh? Such a big part of, you know, rugby league, everything they do in backline movements is basically to get a 3-on-2 with your fullback sweeping out the back. If a defensive side like the Melbourne Storm can get it 3-on-3 and they get their half, whether it's Munster or Hughes, on with the fullback, it's a 3-on-3, they go, cool, we've done our job, we should be able to shut this down from here. That happened time and time again last night where it was a 3-on-3 and Walsh was 1-on-1 with Munster and Hughes, 2 of the best defensive halves in the competition. He just made them look second rate.
Mate, it's unbelievable. How strong is he in contact?
The try assist against Penrith, which was a crazy replica of the first try assist last night for Dean Mariner, where he's like in contact and manages not to collapse in it, but then get a ball away. He's so strong.
Oh, mate, what the hell? And then that one that got disallowed, like that pass was just like, I just can't believe it. I seriously just, like, that's greatness. That is truly, truly greatness. And this kid has the world at his feet. I hope he's got the right people around him. You know, he already would have been dealing with this, but there's going to be so many people, fucking bloodsuckers coming around, or just keep your circle tight and just enjoy
Obviously,
it.
a lot has to happen and there's a lot's going to play out, but as a 23-year-old, the form that he's shown, like his ceiling of what he could achieve in his career with the experience that he's had and how good he is and how talented he is, like it's as high a ceiling as I've ever seen in a player.
What can't he do if he continues doing this? Like he's done it at Origin, he's killed it at Origin, now he's done it in the grand final. He's only going to get better. He's 23 years old.
In the space of 2 months, he went from, do you add Walsh to the Kangaroo squad for MVP tour of the UK? And maybe he's putting there for experience and you look towards World Cup data to, even before Teddy pulled out of the tour, he's hands down the fullback for the Kangaroos.
And he may not lose that jersey for 5 years.
I don't think 2 months ago he goes on the tour. You weren't going to leave Teddy out, and I doubt they would have left Edwards out for Reece Walsh, who had been kind of patchy throughout the season. I don't think he goes on the tour. And so I think Weeks would have been in front of him 6 weeks ago.
That's fair. Because there was a period there where Weeks was in running for a fullback LM. You know the moment that happened, and again, I guess this shows you how you might have a wrong opinion of Walshy. So they asked him what changed mid-year, what went different, and he said, well, at the start of the year, I was going home and I was watching clips. All I thought about was rugby league. I couldn't stop watching clips. I couldn't stop thinking about what I needed to do, how I needed to get better. My children would be there and I'd have my phone. I'd just be watching clip after clip after clip. And so no one would expect that's what Walsh does. He came in and Madge said to him, mate, when you're in here, lock in. When you're out there, you need to be a father, a man, and enjoy your life. So he went away. And it's funny because I remember at the midway of the season, we spoke about how away from footy, Walsh needs to calm his mind. He just needs to bring everything back down, whatever routine he needs to get back in to bring his mind down. And that's exactly what it was. It was enjoying life again. It was focusing on the more important things in life that brought this greatness out. And again, Michael Maguire, the ability to identify, you've got your star player that can change your whole future. The ability to go, I'm going to make him do less homework in rugby league. Any coach would be like, there's no way I'm changing that. Well, I'm not going to change my star player from watching more clips. I'll watch more clips. But to understand Walshy well enough to go, no, that's not good for you, that's just great coaching. Just great coaching. Okay, let's get into some of these other boys. Well, obviously, Ben Hunt, 10-year redemption. When he dropped that ball all those years ago, who would have thought that he would come back 10 years later and win a premiership? And there's no one more deserving than Dozer. Think about how much that drop ball haunted him. Didn't matter how far we got from it. It didn't matter how many big Origin moments he had. It still just haunted him. And then all of a sudden he gets a lifeline at the Broncos because he just wants to pack her up in Brisbane, and they win a premiership. It's just, that's fairy tale stuff.
It's crazy. I was there that night in 2015. I feel like it fucking haunted me to some extent. Just watching how it all played out, and then the amount of stuff that guy's copped over the last 10 years when he has always been a brilliant player. At the Dragons, getting paid 1 point whatever, and everyone jumped over his back. He was keeping that club afloat.
Yeah.
Let's be for real here. He's worth every cent for the Dragons, in my opinion. And then to come back to Brisbane, do what he did, just incredible. I love that moment, not love, but that moment where you see him staggering back, and it's just Ben Hunt in his purest, toughest motherfucker form.
Tough as anything.
I'll just show up, and then you see Reece Walsh come
Grab
over.
him.
I'd love to know what. I assume it would have been like, I've got this.
Yeah.
I've got us.
Fuck.
Just
give
crazy.
Me tingles. Give me tingles, man. Timmy, what do you reckon?
Incredible redemption arc, and just how full circle that's all come for Ben Hunt. And I'm so stoked for him. As you said, that, when you retire from footy, he'd be sitting there going, I'll get over it.
Yeah.
That's haunting you for the rest of your life. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Now that this moment's happened, he can just, he's probably got a few more years left in him, Benny Hunt, but when the time does come to retire, he can do it with peace of mind, because I'm so stoked for him to get a premiership.
Oh, man. What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, I loved it as well. I was on board him for the Clive. I like the narrative around it all, but they tested him early. They kicked off to him at the start.
Straight away.
They kicked a few to him, and he got a wobbler late in the game as well that actually bounced. I was like, oh boy, is this going to come back to bite him? But thankfully, it wasn't a repeat of the first time. But yeah, so deserving. I was absolutely wrapped for him when he got up there and got his medal.
It's just, man, so good. What do you reckon? What do you reckon about Honey, mate?
I think when the Go Dozer moment happened and everyone said he's kind of redeemed himself, I think we all knew deep down that he hadn't. We all wanted, it was a nice story, but we all knew he needed the grand final. And I I've never really had any feelings towards Ben Hunt. Like, I was sad for him that he dropped the ball, but he was a Dragons player, he's a Queenslander. I felt nothing towards him. But I was so happy for him yesterday, and I was really happy when Harry Grant called him out on his losing speech. He said, no one deserves it more. It was funny, I was sitting next to Courtney, and I showed her the 2015 grand final before the game, and they kicked off to him, and she goes, oh, why are they kicking off to him? That's a bit mean. I'm like, they're trying to win the game. But, yeah, like, it's just such a great moment. The game has so many stories, and this was one of them, probably the biggest one. And yeah, so happy for him.
It's a really good point, like that Dozer moment in State of Origin. Like, I genuinely think that is the only State of Origin moment where Queensland have scored, and I might have had a little rice and just gone, credit to him.
Yeah.
He's copped it more than anyone ever.
Yep.
He deserves it. But then when I was there last night and I watched it, that apex moment, you go, that's mad.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'd never forget Dozer was coming through while I was at the Broncos as a young fella. And you just, when you see them achieve stuff like that, you think back to when they were just a young whippersnapper doing their best in their first pre-season, and to see how far he's come. And like him coming through the grades, it hasn't been like, people might assume that he came straight into grade and was a number 7 and it was all good because he was supposed to be the heir apparent of the Broncos. Like, huge raps on him. And then for some reason, I think it was Anthony Griffin, just started playing him at 9, and like, he was in 9, he was at 7, and his whole career has had this weird push and pull between 9 and 7. Ironically, it's actually helped him win a premiership. The 9-7 thing, that rotation has actually helped quite a bit. I just
Queensland
so happy.
too,
Yeah,
massively.
mate. I'm so happy for him, and just stoked for his family as well, and always sticking by him. And so his wife had her Hunt jersey on with his child, and she just had those ones on Instagram. And get the final laugh. Get the final laugh.
I'll tell you the other thing with Ben that I always really notice, whenever you talk to Jarrell or Alex Glenn and you talk to them about players, the way they talk about Dozer is just different. And I know they're all good mates, but I think the way that all played out this weekend, there was a lot of guys fulfilling destinies last night and living out dreams. But the way, like, you can just tell how much, I think it's obviously hurt Ben Hunt over the last 10 years, and how much it meant to all those guys.
Yeah.
Like Jarrell's, laughing, taking the piss all the time. You talk about Ben Hunt, he is fucking steel every time.
Mate. He's loved at the Brisbane Broncos because he was what I like about it as well. And don't get me wrong, this is purely this legacy, but he was the last person that had a connection to the early 2000s Broncos squad, because he came through 2008, 2009. And so there was still Darren Lockyer, still Justin Hodges, still Carmichael just left. He left 2008, I think. Anyway, there was, Petro, all those boys. So he still had that old school mentality. And I think you could actually see it on the field. It's probably the one thing they lacked before he arrived, was just that old school way of getting the boys in line and yelling at them, making sure they're going to certain spots. I just couldn't be happy for him. And another thing as well, like, for the shit he has copped, like, relentlessly for a decade, he's never sooked. He's never gotten to media and said, oh, woe is me. I can't believe how poorly I've been treated by everyone. He's just put his head down and worked his ass off. It's just so deserved.
This shows how old he is. This is blown my mind. He played an NRL game with Joel Clinton.
Oh.
Far out. He debuted in my second year, I think.
Yeah, 2009. I thought that was an error. I
he
wouldn't have guessed that.
He was like Toyota Cup.
Yeah, like that first
07 or
I
something.
think it was 8.
8, yeah.
Like an
So it was
08.
insane.
Yeah.
I can't believe he played with Joel Clinton. That's shocked me. To my core.
The GOAT.
That's Matty's take from the good side.
Highest rated rugby league game of all time on TV, including Origin.
Awesome.
Including Origin.
Yeah, and it smoked the AFL Grand Final, so cop that.
Just goes to show Teddy swims. Eh?
Wow.
Over 1 million more than last year's Grand Final.
Holy shit.
Well, it's probably a bit of a dream. Like, you had the two biggest cities that are not Sydney involved in it, so huge numbers.
I do think, though, and I got cop shit for this all the time, but people don't realise how big the Broncos are. They are such a fucking mammoth club compared to everyone else. And so I think that would have played quite a bit of a part in it, that not only are they a huge club, but that Queensland connection.
Quite a bit. It is the part. It's I agree with you. I think people do, especially people that are a little bit younger than us. Like my brother hasn't grown up with the Broncos winning a comp every 2 or 3 years. No. That's what we were used to growing up. It was, here's the Australian team and 3 players from other teams.
It was the dream
insane.
grand final from a television perspective,
Yes.
because then you get Victoria, you bring a whole other state into it who, let's be realistic, about 1% of them would have watched it if it wasn't the Storm in the grand final max, because they were in it Probably 3% watched it. But that's a lot of that's a lot of people.
So how many was it? What, 4 million people that watched, or what was it?
4.4.
4.4. Far out. It's great for rugby league, and also to put on that showcase too.
Yeah.
Wasn't a grinding
great
ball
game.
fest.
Yeah.
Mate, just fuck.
I was
That's
impressed
good.
as well out there. Like, I assumed there'd be so many Raiders fans that would have had tickets, Canterbury fans. I thought two
Yeah,
teams
my-
from outside
my
Sydney. Are they
missus
going to fill
parents did.
this? 80,000.
Mate, crazy. So good.
More people watch the NRLW than the Bledisloe as well.
Wow.
That's the other thing too. They won both.
They've won all codes. AFL men's. I think AFL women's as
Yeah,
well.
believe
they've
it
got
took you-
last year's women's premiership. Yeah.
I took you 45 minutes in the show to mention that. They've won bloody everything.
Reynolds. I mean, you know, I hate to do it to South fans, and I know you didn't make the decision, but to think that this guy couldn't get a 2-year deal 5 years ago, is it 5 years ago now? 4 years ago. He has now gone to 2 grand finals and won a premiership. It's one of the biggest misses I've ever seen in retention. And I know that sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong, but this one was like, he's still got another year next year at the Broncos. Like, this one could be club defining for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Since he has gone, it's just been disaster after disaster. Now, I know it's not all Renault, but that decision to allow him to leave, all he wanted was not more money, just another year. It'll go down as one of the worst retention decisions we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, I agree. I think South Sydney need to sort out that 7 jersey before it becomes an Adam Reynolds curse. Just about. Like, that 7 jersey since he left has been a disaster. It has been all over the place. And, you know, I saw a few South Sydney comments last night saying, well, he didn't get through the game uninjured.
Oh, my God.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, bro. Okay. But just to see him to win that premiership, that's what he was brought to the club for. Like, that's incredible. Like, mainly brought for the club. You've got this young squad that needs leadership, that needs an older head to guide him around, and he did exactly what he was brought for.
It's funny, you mentioned that, like the number 7 curse, like the Parramatta number 7 curse. They've got Mitchy Moses there doing great things, but still chasing that elusive title, and it is happening to the Bunnies now, isn't it? They've had some unbelievable teams since he's left, basically, but just missing the rudder, the spearhead to get him around the park, the old veteran number 7, and as you said, like sort of alluded to there, Kempy, but not his best game of all time, left the field early due to injury, but just the experience, the level head there, the impact you have on the rest of the playing group, it goes so much further than 40 minutes in a grand final, doesn't it?
Oh, and his kicking game, other than the kick out in the full, was phenomenal. Some of those kicks that just held up in goal were outstanding, especially when Melbourne Storm just had us dominated for a period there. What do you reckon, mate, about Renault?
Yeah, I mean, credit to him. Good to see him get a premiership since he moved up there. He had the clutch moment, obviously, in the prelim. The kick a goal. I will say, though, I think kind of when he did go off, it meant Walsh got a lot more ball on the night. And from that perspective, maybe it was almost a bit of a blessing in disguise when that happened, because from that moment on, I suppose, they really piled on the points. But, you know, all in all, he's been such a great signing for him, combined nicely with Hunt through the year. And, yeah, he definitely deserves that premiership.
It does open a lot of questions up heading into next year that they probably can't go into next year without everyone in that spine knowing that Walsh is the main man. They just can't.
Yeah, well, I spoke last week about it, and I mentioned, you know, what was the best side for this grand final and who starts in the halves, etc. Because everything has to be tailored around who gets him in the best, Reece Walsh in the best space. And I sort of thought that maybe it was Ezra hindering him, but a lot of the Broncos fans sort of, the feedback was, no, like it's Adam Reynolds hindering him. And not necessarily in a bad way, but so they've got the premiership now. They looked damn good when Ezra came on, as did Reece Walsh. And going to next year, it's, as you said, it's all around what's the best for Reece Walsh.
Yeah, and I think Ezra, because he's played so much footy with Walsh, and they're similar-ish kind of players, they can kind of vibe off each other quite a bit. So I wonder whether, you know, Renault will adjust his style a little bit to make sure that he gets the ball. It's going to be interesting, but yeah, just to get to that point. And think about, like, as you said, mate, it's not just about the 40 minutes in the grand final. It's about all the other years that he's played incredibly well to build to this moment. Like, you know, you don't just appear in a grand final. It takes years of building towards it.
And I think as well, like, obviously Adam Reynolds was there before Madge, but I would imagine there would have been parts of, you know, their pre-season this year when it was tough and Madge was probably coming across like a fucking lunatic at different points, that those younger boys, like, you look to your leaders in those moments, and their leader is a guy, no, I've been to hell with this dude.
Yeah.
Come out with a trophy.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Back him in.
Yep. Far out. Just quickly, guys, don't forget, Bloke in a Bar is powered by Lontel, the best internet in all the land, at least to me. Go to lontel.net.au/bloke and use code BLOKE and you'll get 7 days free, and then you get, I think, $25 credit. And trust me, guys, it's free to sign up, no credit cards. Just give it a try. You will not regret it, guys. Best customer service. It happens really quick. They take care of you. Lontel Internet. And also, it's time for the KO Can't Miss moment. And the KO Can't Miss moment, it's the Shibasaki tries and the Shibasaki story. You know, for whatever reason, earlier this year or at the end of last year, this glimmer, just this tiny spark of belief still lingered in Shibasaki. And one decision going left, and maybe the spark just goes. One right, maybe the spark goes. But for some reason, he dug deep and said, you know what? I still got just a little bit more left in me. When everyone else stopped believing in Shibasaki, he said, no, I know myself, and I should have done more in the NRL. He gets to the Broncos, and his first training session, he gets told to leave the field. He's so unfit. All the way to Origin Series win, all the way to a grand final 2 tries. It's one of the great stories of a guy down and out, all the way to the top of the mountain. It's incredible.
And whilst he's at the top of the mountain, he gets a Kangaroos call up today.
Unbelievable. And again, if you want just a pure measurement of Michael Maguire's coaching ability, it's Shibasaki. He took him from not playing footy really to where he's at right now. And granted, Shibasaki deserves a lot of credit, but it takes a coach to realise and nurture that out of him.
A couple of years ago, there was a somewhat similar story when Melbourne won the comp in 2020. Branko Lee had a very similar story. He was retired. He was done. Craig Bellamy called him down there, arrived in the side, played Origin, won the comp. And I sort of thought, I don't know if we'll see a better story from like a centre like that that's sort of done, that we're not expecting anything out of. I think Shibasaki's blown it out of the water.
Incredible.
2 tries in the grand final. He's in the Kangaroos side.
So wild.
Yeah,
so wild.
You look at, we know the story, but every time I hear it, like I'm just looking at it again now and his journey that he's been on, I sort of sit back and just go, like, I'm sorry, what? Broncos, 2018, he played 1 game. 2019, the Broncos, 12 games. Went to the Knights in 2020, 11 games. Still at the Knights in 21, 3 games. 2022, he was with the Green Rockets Tokatsu in Japanese Rugby Union. Comes back from there, 2 games with the Cowboys in 23, 1 game with the Bunnies in 2024. Broncos 2025 plays 25 games, wins a premiership, plays Origin, gets picked for Australia.
How many tries he scored? 18.
16 this season in 25 games.
No, that's wins. Tries, 18.
18.
He scored 6 in his career before that.
What? And the guts of Michael Maguire. They've got all this talent, like talent that other clubs would kill for. And Michael Maguire goes, nah, I'm picking a guy that's going to buy into what I'm selling. And Shibasaki gets to the centre.
As well, he has his hiccup a few weeks ago. Gets dropped out of the side. And Madge says, no, I'm backing you in, you're my guy. And comes up with that.
When you really start thinking about some of the calls Madge has made, you're just sitting there just going, what the hell? Like even Dean Mariner doesn't make the starting side to start the season. By the end of the year, he was unbelievable. Like the development of Dean Mariner over this season has been unbelievable. Karapani, like where did he come from? Just absolutely incredible stuff.
Yeah, round 1, you probably would have had like your best Broncos team before, particularly the big Shibasaki shake-up, but you'd have had Arthurs and Cobbo, but your wingers end of season. Mariner's probably at 1 centre with Stags. Just completely different.
Completely different. And then
like, those blokes are all available.
I mean, even Pia Cora didn't make the bloody starting side at the start of the season. And then he's starting in the grand final.
I don't think, even though he didn't play, I don't think Billy Walters was in anyone's round 1 team either.
Yeah, because it was only because of Blake Moser injury.
If you would have said at round 1 that the Brisbane Broncos win the comp, you would have said, who's the Bronco outside back that's going to be playing for the Kangaroos? It's Selwyn Cobbo every day of the week. He's
Absolutely.
Not even in the side.
Yeah, absolutely. Or even like, Dean Mariner. He's Aussie, isn't he? Or is he? He's not Kiwi. I think he's Aussie with Samoan background.
Yeah.
Anyway, or one of the boom young kind of outside backs.
Samoan International.
But yeah, that's our KO can't miss. It's the Shibasaki story. Like, he shaved the goatee, made me nervous there for a bit.
Well, I was going to say, that was another thing, a notch on his resume this year. He actually brought it back into fashion.
Yeah.
Had the bold call to lose it for the pointy end of the season, but what an impact he had.
But he knows fashion, because you always know with fashion, you don't want to ride a trend too long. You want to be ahead of the trend. You've always said that. And so he realised that, no, this is becoming too on trend. I need to bring it back a little bit.
Yep. Yep.
Became more aerodynamic in 2 tries.
Picked his moment. It was
Picked his
beautiful.
moment. Outstanding. KO can't miss. There's so much content on KO. Classic games, great interviews, featured documentaries. There's just so much stuff on KO. Make sure to head there. And heading into cricket season 2, there's just also a bunch of different cricket to watch, plus the actual cricket. I want to talk about Jordan Ricky. I'm so happy for Ricky. Like, I've always been... I've been critical of Ricky at times because there's just been so much talent there, and he's just had these really high highs, and then all of a sudden there'll just be, for some reason, like 3 or 4 weeks where he just doesn't seem that engaged in what he's doing, but he's always played well enough to keep his spot in the side. Like, so it's not like he's been terrible, but you've always been like, there's so much more in this guy. Like, there is so much more in this guy. And then for him to, even this year, he was a bit up and down. Then they head into finals footy, and he's arguably played his best footy of his career. And he deserves, like, the amount of shit this bloke cops. And it's partly because he's a good-looking bloke, but also partly because he has the talent to be good, and some people sometimes feel he doesn't fulfill that. He has fulfilled it. He was absolutely outstanding. He was so safe there. For a guy that cops as much as he cops, I'm just so happy for the bloke. And hopefully this is just the beginning of the standard of rugby league that we can expect from Jordan Ricky, because he was outstanding on the weekend.
The growth in him as a footballer and just a person, I think, has been incredible.
Incredible.
For me, mate, for the last 2 or 3 years, I looked at Ricky as a guy that he would get close to, in my opinion, maybe falling out of the side, then he'd score a try. You go, okay, he'll hold on for a few more weeks here. He's just blown that away this season. And he's a guy that, now... I don't give a fuck what he does for the rest of his career. He's going to be one of those guys you remember as one of those Broncos forwards that won a comp.
Yeah, absolutely.
In elite class.
Absolutely.
And stood up in the biggest games.
Yeah, and that's the big question. Like, I always knew he was good, and he could have good games in season, but I was like, can he do that in final series? I was blown away this one, and it was all just off hard work. It wasn't any crazy offloads. It was all just kick chase and hard work.
Mate, like at the start of the year, you probably look at him and go, he should be a strike back rower. He runs a really good line, big, strong, athletic bloke. The culmination of this season, he scored 2 tries all year and didn't have 1 try assist in played 24 games. And that's exactly what the Broncos needed because points were never going to be an issue. He became like a toiler, job-doing, hard-working back rower, and that's all you needed out of your back rowers.
Yeah.
You've got Reece Walsh in your team. You just need blokes who run hard, tackle hard, and do a job.
Just it's mental, absolutely mental. Jordan Ricky he's got a premiership now, and I tell you what, like probably one of the best kick chasers in the competition. Like that was something that he built his brand on this year. And you're right, mate. That's what they needed. They didn't need, a Kikau or a Olakawatu. They needed a bloke that was just going to make 1,000,000 tackles and kick chase hard. And he did exactly that.
It's one of these ones, mate, where we speak about back rowers in particular all the time who have, in particular, like defensive deficiencies, and they're like, all right, it's almost that Melbourne Storm approach of go back to square one and get your fundamentals right. Do the hard yards, get your defence right, run hard, the attack will come later on. That's what he's done this year. It's culminated in a premiership. So he's laid the foundations. I think he'll be able to build off the back of this going forward, and there'll be more tries. There'll be more line breaks. He'll have more of these big headline moments that we know he's capable of, but he's got the foundation set.
And, I mean, as his combination with Ricky, with Walsh gets better, you know what I mean? Like, when that starts gelling, Walsh will be able to put him in so many good positions. But so I'm so happy for Ricky. Like, just he hung in there, and, Michael Maguire's gotten the best out of him.
Isn't it just another example, though, when you look at the Broncos, just how they are just the exception, not the rule? Like we spoke about it all year. If one of these 2 back rowers gets injured, I don't know. Like, they've won a comp with just 2 first-choice back rowers. Like, who's the next man in? Like,
probably Jaden Hunt,
and
Jack
Gos. Like, it's crazy. But once again, they go against everything we know about rugby league, and then the upside of that is, I don't think Ricky and Piakura in particular are anywhere near their potential.
No way.
They're scratching the surface of it.
No way.
And maybe Payne Haas is. Maybe Reece Walsh is as well. They're all 25 years old.
It's
He's 25 and played 100 games on the edge. He's not at his best yet. He's won a comp.
Oh, man.
He's at his best on socials, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, mate, on an absolute
on a rugby league tear.
Do you know if he has Buzz's number yet?
I'm sure. We've certainly asked a few times, so I'm sure someone will help him at some stage.
Something about a sack of potatoes?
Yes, yeah, interesting turn of phrase there. Didn't mind it.
Who knew he was so eloquent?
Yeah, Away with words.
How cool is it just in the modern game, like last night, that when they're all sitting out there in the circle in the middle of the field, that just fans can be there with them.
Yeah.
The lives, and they're just passing the phone around. It's so good.
I like as well how we've almost normalised allowing players to talk a bit of shit after they win a premiership. Whereas like 10 years ago, it'd be like, huge drama, player fucking slams journo. Whereas I feel like now it's like, no, we let them have their little, pot shot after a grand final win.
Buzz would be loving every bit of it as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He'll write some article about how bloody Jordan Ricky's the worst back row in the world.
Imagine after that 2006 grand final if you walked out to the circle with your phone on. You wouldn't have come out alive.
Mate, you're getting fucking rissoled. That's what you're getting. Oh, mate, so good. Okay. Alrighty, it's time for Service of the Week, brought to you by Aspley Mazda. Service of the Week, brought to you by Luke Camilleri, LDC_01 on Instagram. I tell you what, Service of the Week was the young fellas off the bench. Haas and Carrigan carries this team all the way from a wooden spoon to a grand final premiership, and they needed the boys to come off the bench and do a job for them. Last week, Haas played 80 minutes. That was his job. The Service of the Week was Willison and Hetherington. Absolutely phenomenal what they've done off the bench. And so, guys, Aspley Mazda, a massive thank you for partnering with the show. Lukey as well. Matter of fact, you know what? Lukey, he's a Dragons fan. So, look, if you want, you don't have to, but if you want, maybe just send him a picture of Benny Hunt with the trophy around his neck, or just a picture of the Broncos even. And look, I just said if you want, as a Dragons fan, it might hurt him, it might not. But anyway, send him a message if you want to call the best in the business. And let's get into the chat. Willison and Hetherington, I would argue, were our best forwards on the night. Willison came on the field and in 40 minutes ran for 140 metres. And he is a perfect example of some young talent the Broncos have had for a while, but we just haven't seen him take that next step yet. He took that next step. He was phenomenal. Mr. Stand on business, he stood on it. Business has been stood on. I'm clocking him. It has been stood on. Okay, business stays the weekend now. He works on the weekend. It was Sunday night. He was still working.
It's a public holiday, apparently, but he's still standing on business, much like us.
Oh, man. Mate, he came on and was phenomenal. Like, to think, if you were ever going in a grand final and think the Broncos will win, but it'll actually won't be Payne Hassel will run for the most metres, it'll be Wilson, and Hetherington will come on and just friggin' rip. You would never expect that. So Hetherington and Willison, they are my unsung heroes. They were phenomenal off the bench. Like, Hetherington's leg speed through the middle, like, where did that come from? Like, I know he's had it, but he just hasn't really shown it that much this year. Friggin' unbelievable.
Wilson's blown me away in this final series. Like he came back last week.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Like off 6 or 7 weeks. So he had no match fitness coming into it. Like when Pat Carrigan got suspended, and I had Broncos fans messaging me going, oh, but Willison comes in. I'm like, are you fucking for real? He's coming off 5 weeks of not playing footy. I love Willison. He's a good footballer. But we've had a couple of false starts to some extent. And then he just comes in, biggest games of his career, and plays incredibly well. As you said, if not outplayed Payne Haas, matched it with him.
Easy match him. Okay, so Hetherington played 40 minutes. Wilson played 40 minutes, both exactly. Hetherington ran for 25 metres, 48 tackle breaks. 48 post-contact, 21 tackles, only 1 miss. Xavier Willison, 40 minutes, 146 metres, 60 post-contact, 2 tackle breaks, 14 tackles, only 1 miss. Paddy Carrigan played for 80 minutes, 138 metres, 47 tackles, only 1 miss. And then Payne Haas played for 53 minutes, 13 runs, 117 metres, 52 post-contact, 5 tackle breaks, 23 tackles, 1 miss. Like that, they were on par with the best front row we've seen in a very long time.
I cannot believe you just won a comp with Payne Haas playing 53 minutes.
Payne Haas running for that 117 metres was his second lowest all year. He averaged 166 metres per game this year. If you told me before the game Payne Haas run for 117 metres, I'd say
dominated.
There's no way in the world that the Broncos win this game, because it means they've lost the middle, which means the Storm's behind have run a mark. Walsh hasn't had a platform to play off. But as you said, it was Willison and Hetherington. Like, Kobe Hetherington ran for more metres than Payne Haas. And, the trial to go down in grand final folklore from Reece Walsh was unbelievable. Kobe Hetherington, he was the reason for it.
Yeah, quick play the ball.
Busted tackles, got that rapid play the ball. Reece Walsh saw the quick play the ball, went, give it to me.
Oh,
boom,
man.
1,000 miles an hour. Thanks for coming.
One of the great grand final tries, Reece. Like, bro, when he went out, like I kept waiting for him to get tackled close to the line. And that fend on Pappy whilst you're at full pace. Like,
how good that look in slow-mo from the front of the angle. Outrageous.
So good. And Bellamy actually said after the game, his special weapon is not his speed, it's his strength, because everyone knows he's quick. Not a lot of people know how strong Reece is. But yeah, back to Hetherington Willison. Like, what I love so much about this is, like, Payne Haas has carried that club, and at some point he was going to need the young boys to repay what he's done for them, and boy did they repay it. Boy did they repay it. Like, just, and don't get me wrong, when Payne Haas came back on, he was a nightmare for the defence, just killing it. But Payne Haas did his job last game. Yeah. That was his grand final moment last game. He needed the boys to get around in this game. And again, Michael Maguire's ability to have the guts and bravery to go, no, I'm going to trust Willison, I'm going to trust Hetherington to get the job done.
And even like, you know, Payne Haas, 117 run moves, which by his standards isn't incredible. Would you say he averages 160?
166, yeah.
When he came off in the first half, he had 30 run meters. So he still went for 80 in the last 32 minutes.
Mental.
Whilst Willison's running downhill and all these guys are doing these things.
Oh, man. We've spoken about it a little bit, but Ezra Mann's performance was just like, just to remind you how good this guy is. He was absolutely phenomenal. Some of his defence, like, they don't win the game without him. They really don't. He was just so good. I mean, to be honest, like, who can you really look at and say they didn't play good in this Broncos side? Like, it was a performance of a lifetime. I thought, even though he didn't, like, have the big moments, I thought Staggs was great in the sense that, like, any little half chance he got, he would break the line. And a lot of times when we were all under a lot of pressure, Staggs would just have that little play that just released all the pressure for us. Another guy that has been working tirelessly to be, you know, a premiership winner at the Broncos, and he's finally got his premiership.
I interviewed Katoni at the Dally M's the other night. I've never had anything to do with him. And I'll be honest, I had a certain idea in my head based on how I've seen him play and all this other sort of person he'd be. So wrong. I couldn't believe how mature he was and just how composed he was.
Yeah.
I was really impressed.
Well, I just think he's grown up so much.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he came into grade and he had all these expectations. Had those first couple of years where it was like highlight reel central, where you're going, oh my God, this guy's a beast. Then just, we spoke about it so many times, but we're just like, he just needs to get involved more. Like, there's not talent, it's not power, it's not speed, it's just involvement. He ups that in the last 2 years, and it's changed everything for him. It's changed everything.
The only negatives from the Broncos lineup that I take out of it were probably defensive lapses from Shibasaki and Mariner. But on the flip side, they were not their best defensively. They were probably the two best on field, at least for the Broncos, Walsh aside, in attack. They ran for 199 and 217 metres respectively. Both scored doubles. Like, they were unbelievable ball in hand.
Dean Mariner, when he tiptoed across the line, I was fucking...
Yeah. Why was he doing that?
Why do that to me?
Yeah.
Why make my heart race like that?
Isn't it just the most Broncos thing?
It's the most Broncos thing ever.
It is.
It's
the
so
most
unnecessary.
on-brand thing you could possibly... Grand final, biggest moment. Instead, you got Adam Reynolds as a goal kicker. Instead of just putting it down, I'll dance with the dead ball line for 5 metres.
Oh,
Mate, what the fuck was going on with that? I'm just going, what are
Crazy.
you doing? Just fucking put it down. Holy shit. But, you know, again... That's what makes a guy like Dean Mariner great. He backs himself.
2 extra tackle breaks for Dean. Shout out to him.
Oh, mate. Yeah, got his stats up.
Even the funny thing about it, though, like, when in there, I don't know, what you've got, maybe 5, 6, 7 metres close to the post, and they score that try, which ended up being the Shibasaki try in the 57th minute. They're up by 2 points. He got that little bit closer, a bit easier for
It was all
Reynolds.
him.
Yeah.
Relieve the pressure. But Dean Mariner, like, a guy that could have kicked rocks, could have sucked that he wasn't in them, because he's one of the best young outside backs in the competition. And all he really needed to work on was his defence last year. His attack has always been incredible. But the amount of tough carries him and Karapani got through, especially in the last 2 weeks, like, they were nothing short of exceptional. Absolutely exceptional.
Karapani came with a great one-on-one on Coates, I think it was, later on in the game as well.
Yep.
Just squared him up. I think he took him out, or short, yeah.
Yes, took him out.
Took him out with
Great tackle.
Just
So, yeah, I know he already put the boot in just South Sydney a little bit before, but that entire left edge, Shibasaki, Karapani, they were at South Sydney 2 years ago.
again, I
good
just
stuff, Matty.
Thanks, mate. To be fair, I don't think Shibasaki was actually on our books. We had to loan him for some reason, but because of COVID, I think. But still,
actually, you know what? Another cool detail. So you know that 48-0 win from the Tigers that Madge was the coach of against the Broncos. Guess who the 6 was? Billy Walters.
Billy Walters.
That's crazy. But yeah, look, I don't know what else there is to say, guys. It is just, it's a monumental moment. They did it their way. One of the most exciting grand finals you'll see. It had everything. It just had everything. This series for the Broncos, it'll go down in history, in my opinion. Just one of those series where a team caught light, and for whatever reason, the footy gods said, week 1 of the finals, your destiny is to win a premiership this year. Whatever the reason was, like, think of the get out of jails they've had every single game. Like, it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing stuff. So massive. And I just want to give a massive congrats to like guys like Smoothie, guys like Corey Pakes. Like, these are guys that have fought tooth and nail just to get in the side. And then you got a guy like Corey Pakes who there were a bit through the middle of the year where it was almost a sure thing that he was going to sign with another club. Like, there were rumblings, all that kind of stuff. Now he finds himself as the number 9 in a grand final, and he wins the grand final. A guy like Smoothie, you know, got let go from the Storm, couldn't really get much elsewhere, has stuck around, hung around at the Broncos. He's a premiership winner now. He's just, like, it's unbelievable.
You talk about like that catching lightning in a bottle, like this team has done. Not many teams have done it. I think the last genuine team to do it was probably your Tigers.
Yeah.
Anyone else come to mind?
Nah, not really.
And like, if you just have a look at the Tigers that year, like the year before that, the 04 grand final, that was Roosters Bulldogs. Those two teams missed the finals in 05. Like 05 was a genuine transition year where things changed a lot. This year, they had to beat Penrith and Melbourne, the 2 grand finalists from last year, to win it.
And they went Melbourne, Raiders, Penrith, Melbourne. That was their last 4 games.
Yep.
If they included finals, Madge Coach of the Year.
I think it's hard not to say yes. Like, I know
what Ricky did with the, they were favourites for the Spoon, they won the minor premiership, but
like a premiership.
the added degree of difficulty and the way that he got them on a roll when it mattered and stuff. And as you've touched on how tough each of those games were, they were underdogs in all of them. Pretty hard to. Can
I ask a question on top of that? If they lose to Melbourne in round 27, do you think this team could have won the comp from outside the 4? I can't say no.
Yeah, I can't say no. What I will say, though, is, and I know we've spoken about this before, but I truly believe that win against the Storm gave them the confidence to be able to beat them here. Like, because the history of the Broncos versus Storm, they have our number unbelievably. Like, over the last 20 years. However, since Madge has been the coach, we went with them until all those Hammy issues happened. And then the last game of the round, I know they were missing, Grant got injured. Sorry, Grant wasn't there and Hughes got injured, but we were also missing 3 or 4 players as well. I really think they took a lot of confidence out of that. Like, I really do. Could have they won 4 in a row? To be honest, like, it's hard to say they wouldn't have because they did crazier shit than that with some of the wins they had. So maybe not. I don't know.
Could you imagine if last night was last week and the Broncos were playing in a grand final this week without Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds? What are you looking at? A Jock Madden in the halves? Are you debuting Black? What are you doing?
Could you imagine debuting Black in a grand final?
It's him or Jock Madden.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I know.
Be Madden and Ezra.
Madden and Ezra.
Right. That would be insane.
I've got a tough question for you. Who is your 3-2-1 from the Broncos? Obviously, Reece Walsh is 3, but who would your second and third best be? Because so many people played so good.
I'd go Walsh, number 1. I'd go, as in like 3. I'd go Willison 2, and maybe Mariner or Shibasaki.
Yeah, I reckon Shiba's in. Shiba probably gets my 2. Almost 200 metres, 2 tries.
Yeah, Shiba. Shiba.
I'd have Ezra at number 2, I reckon.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair.
Like, some of those defensive, like, he's forced 2 turnovers.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
It's fair. What do you reckon, boys? Who's your 3-2-1?
I'm giving Walsh all 6.
I'd go Walsh 3. I'd go Hetherington 2. I thought he was unbelievable. Shiba had some poor defensive efforts. I'd probably go Mariner 1.
Yeah, he was great. I've got to say, like, when Katoa broke through Shiba's tackle, I was like, no, it's happening.
Yeah.
Like, we've held them off for so long, but it's going to be the last minute. Melbourne Storm are going to have that famous victory. Like, I thought it's happening.
But Ellie through and then Paps looming right off his hip. Like, they're in.
They're in. Like, no one's catching Paps. Like, no, I just thought it was over. I was just like, fuck, here we go again.
It's one of those moments like that 2004 grand final, Mick Crocker's going through, he's going to score for all money. Andrew Ryan gets the ankle tap. Like, that Walsh moment was as big. That was in a 2-on-1 situation for him just to have that much faith in the other defender and go all in on Pappy. It's such a big play.
It's one of the great defensive plays in a grand final I've ever seen. It is truly remarkable to have the guts and the belief and the wherewithal in that moment to just go, nah, I trust my boys, I'm going for the
And it was his third try saver of the game. Puppy off the scrum that he was going to score. Like, that was the 2020 grand final all over again. Reece Walsh forces him to throw a pass. And then, as you said, Hammy, I completely agree with you. I think the Melbourne Storm are celebrating a premiership victory right now if Tui gets that ball down.
Yeah.
16
They're not losing a 16. They're not losing a 16.
Adam Reynolds kicked out on the full the set before they score. I think it was the one time. I think it was the first time in that game that Melbourne didn't make them pay for their error. Brisbane just went, don't give us an edge.
Yeah. And they literally gave him a sniff and then it was over. And what I couldn't believe as well is just the energy the Broncos got to. It was almost like they were kids in a playground. Like, they were just, like, they were all on Walsh's level. That's what usually you see Walsh bouncing around like that and you're like, Jesus, he's like a kid in a candy store. But I felt like the entire Broncos side was just like, I don't know, raging or whatever. It was just mental to watch. And we'll get into the Storm soon. But I actually felt that the Storm got caught up in that craziness and started to panic a little bit instead of playing because Storm don't play that kind of footy. It's clinical, it's patient, it's monotonous to a degree. But I feel like they got caught up in the energy of the Broncos. It was so frantic. Look, incredible win. So happy for the boys. All right, it's time for the sub-dog comeback. And it is the Brisbane Broncos. Their season written off mid-year. They're coming 11th. Everyone says, nah, it hasn't worked out. They're going to need more time under Michael Maguire. And then somehow, some way, led by Reece Walsh, they catch fire with 5 to 6 weeks to go. Their Broncos final series down. 16 points down versus the Raiders. 14 points down versus the Panthers. 10 points down versus the Storm. And they win the Premiership. That's one of the great comebacks all time. Subway is bringing back the iconic sub-dog. After its massive success in 22 and 24, it's back in Australia and New Zealand. It gets better, though. With the sub-dog, they're not only bringing sub-dog back, but they're bringing a sub-dog range as well. Introducing brand new, fully loaded flavour-packed builds, the barbecue bacon loaded sub-dog and the Mexican loaded sub-dog. But guys, only for an extremely limited time. Do not miss the opportunity to get into Subway as soon as you can to try these new loaded sub-dogs. Alrighty, this next segment is brought to you by Code Sports. There will be a link in the description, guys. If you type finals in, then Code Sports are giving away a subscription, 3 months for just $1. And obviously now this is all, I guess this is finals have ended. So make sure to use that code because it's going to be gone very, very soon. Let's get into it. The Melbourne Storm. They lose their second grand final in a row. They were the Premiership favourites to begin the year. They were coming in essentially full strength. Everything was put together for them to win this season. And I know that I'm not suggesting that it would be easy or whatever, but if there was a season where the Melbourne Storm were primed to win a comp, I felt like this was the year. All their players are reaching a key age where they're about to hit their peak of their powers. They've got enough grand final experience. They've got the greatest coach of all time, or at least one of them. They've got the Penrith Panthers getting knocked out. They got a relatively good run into the grand final. And yet, for some bizarre reason, at least in the second half, I thought in the first half, they were outstanding. They were just they played such smart grand final footy where they weren't fighting in any tackles. They were just finding their front. And the Broncos couldn't handle it. They came out in the second half and that try got knocked on. And when the game ramped up to that grand final premiership pace, they just didn't go with them. And look, I definitely don't, I'm not trying to say I told you so or anything like that. But we spoke about all year and we got a lot of pushback from Storm fans about really concerned that they're just like this in a game. Like one half, they're literally the best team in the comp. They come out in the second half and it's just like, what happened? And unfortunately for the Storm, they played like that all year. They got into the grand final and they played exactly like that as well.
Yeah, and it was their edge defence we had big concerns about all season. And I think I fell victim personally to knowing the history of the Melbourne Storm and just having an understanding that they get to these big games and they'll sort it out. Once again, the Brisbane Broncos were the opposite of what Cam Smith's always said. You are who you are in the regular season come finals time. The Melbourne Storm were an absolute mirror.
And to think to think that we lost Reynolds, Hunt, Karapani as well, there were opportunities to ice that game. There really were. I'm not saying they played terribly, but it's saying that they definitely didn't play the way we know they can play. Timmy?
I'm probably not as critical in the sense that, and I know they weren't as bigger outs as what the Broncos had in terms of injuries, but they also had freaking Ezra Mam, who's been a grand final hero in the past in a losing team, to come on and cover those halves injury of Adam Reynolds, so very manageable. The Melbourne Storm also lost Jack Howarth about 14 minutes into this game. They bring Tyron Wishart, who's not obviously a noted centre, to come on, had to play out the game there. They then lost Alec McDonald after a very, very short stint as well. So they're down to 2 on the bench pretty early, and one of their best attacking weapons and X factors off the bench, Tyron Wishart, who had to play out of position. So they had a few excuses themselves in terms of that on the injury front. I think like in this game, going into it, you just had a feeling that if any team can just get a good swing of momentum for 10, 15 minutes, they're going to pile on points, because we saw, in my opinion, 2 okay defensive outfits with a few deficiencies, but 2 relentless attacking units. And the momentum flows in this game, it happened time and time again, just kept switching. It's what made it such a great game. But the Storm took their foot off the pedal for a 12-minute window in the second half. The Broncos went bang, 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 2 to Shibasaki, 1 to Mariner. And that little momentum shift was enough for Reece Walsh to do his damage and get them over the line. So,
12 minutes.
Look, they were, with 2 minutes to go, a Katoa pass to Pappenhausen, a whisker from winning the grand final, and we'd be looking at this in a very different light. So, mate, I'm not that critical.
Really?
Yeah, like I agree with your sentiments of like, they had the lead. This is a Melbourne Storm outfit who, for years and years and years, have not given up leads. They should have closed the game out, but they had a few excuses.
Like, just to Rue's point earlier, Broncos finished the game with a spine of Corey Pakes, Smoothie, Walsh, and Mann, compared to Harry Grant, Pappy, Munster, and Hughes. Like, I just think that they were favourites as well. And the key for me is not necessarily, I understand they had injuries or whatever, but I don't think those injuries changed the fact that when the pressure ramped up, they made all their errors. That's when they made all their errors. Like the first half, they were 95% completion rate. Second half, they came out and they were like 6 from 12. And that's where I go, that's where you lost the game. It wasn't, I understand what you're saying, they lost a couple of players, but they're fit enough to be able to not make errors like that. When the game ramped up in that premiership moment, Broncos stepped to it, and the Storm just couldn't seem to get a grip.
No, very fair. Like, they didn't go with them when the pressure's on, and at the end of the day, it's a grand final. Injuries happen. You have to deal with it, and the Broncos did that a lot better than the Storm did.
I think as a whole, this will be a year that Melbourne will look back on and go, fuck, that one got away from us. Penrith had fallen off, and I'm not taking anything away from the Broncos, but the team that won the comp needed 3 enormous comebacks, an unbelievable storyline to win the competition. Canberra went out in straight sets. The Bulldogs faded late. Like, this was a competition that was waiting for someone to grab it. Brisbane were the team that grabbed it. But fuck, for Melbourne, I think it's really, of all the grand finals they've lost, I think it's the one that's got away the most.
Yeah, 10 points ahead. You're playing the Broncos are a strong second half side, but you just have to think, like, if they just complete their sets, and I know there were periods where they didn't have the ball for quite a while, but I think in the second half, for their first 12 sets, they were like 6 or 7 from 12. And it's just like in a GF, you just cannot do that.
And like, to be fair, like to your point, Tyron Wishart came on and plugged the hole at centre out of position, did quite a good job for the most part. Give or take the odd little blip here and there, I thought he did quite a good job, but it was the resurfacing right edge defence of the Melbourne Storm through, he's not the only one, but Nick Meaney defensively was poor. He got an outstanding try early on. And we've seen this with the Storm right edge. Honestly, we speak about it every week, how poor it's been. And that was, ultimately, that's what cost him, is their right edge defence.
Oh, man. Yeah, look, you've just got to call it what it is. Like, those misses from Meaney were just, like, so uncharacteristic. Like, I know he has had issues with defence, that whole edge, not just him, that whole edge. But not like that. Not like just straight misses like that. Sometimes it's reads or whatever. Like, I'm sure you can find me ones, but I still didn't think it would be, like, at least 2 of those tries, or at least one of them was just Shibasaki just running straight, like, and he didn't even tackle him to the ground. It's, oh man, he's been Mr. Reliable from so long, so I do feel bad for him. But yeah, that edge defence is just, they desperately need to just recruit the best defensive centre in the competition and stick him there.
I think as well, the other thing with this Melbourne side, and looking a little bit down the track, but I think this will be the premiership that got away from them. And I don't know, like, Pappy's been linked to this R360. Munster's been linked to Perth. Like, I think they've got next season potential. And then after that, you might be looking at
100%.
a little bit of a rebuild with Penrith. They will still have Hughes, they'll still have Grant, but you're going to have to build pieces around them again. Like, if Pappy goes to this R360, all of a sudden, you're looking at Saul Farlongo maybe playing fullback. Like, that changes the dynamic enormously. You got Cameron Munster maybe heading over to Perth. It sounds like he will be. Like, it's sort of, we keep talking about will Bellamy win after the big three. If they don't win next year, I think it's going to have to be Bellamy's going to have to win with the group after the big three.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate, because they won the Premiership in 2020. They basically lost Smithy and rebuilt into the juggernaut they are. This is their window. Like, I know we don't talk about windows for the Storm, but this was a window for them with this current. Now, I still think they've got the window next year, but I'm with you, mate. Like, after next year, Munster will be gone. Pappy looks like he might already be gone. Like, I'm sure if it is true that he is linked to Rugby 360, I'm sure the Storm didn't like that heading into a grand final. The fact that their fullback was being linked to that. And look, I know it's been a very strange relationship, Pappy and the Storm, especially later on, but I'm sure heading into a grand final, the last thing you want to hear is your fullback being linked to Rugby 360. Now, maybe it was all bullshit, all smoke and mirrors, and he went in and spoke to him, said, guys, I'm not linked to him right now, I'm not even talking about it. But it definitely can't help. It definitely can't help.
And I just wonder, as well with Craig Bellamy, like, I'll be honest with you guys, I sort of thought going into this grand final, if they win it, I wouldn't be surprised if Craig walks after that.
Yeah.
If he wins that premiership without the big three, a new team he wins it with. I just wonder if Craig, at the age he's at and everything, if Munster leaves, if Pappy leaves, if he looks and goes, fuck, I don't know if I got another one in me.
You know what's funny? I'm with you but I feel like the fact that they have lost 2 grand finals, he almost has to stay now to win one. Whereas if he had left earlier, everyone would have been like, oh, he would have won a premiership with Munster, Grant and Hughes. Like, he just didn't have enough time to sort it out. But I think the fact that he's lost 2 now, people will throw that at him. They will throw, no, when you lost that big three, you couldn't win a premiership. So it's almost like, obviously if he has the energy, like he's getting older, but it's almost like he has to like just drive home that final point. No, I am one of the greatest coaches of all time.
I'd say it throws up an incredible season next year. Like, for the first time, you've got the Panthers with a B in their bonnet for the first time in 5 years. Like, they've done what they've done just off their own backs, inspiring themselves. You got Melbourne now, 2 grand finals in a row they've lost. Your mob's going to be up and about next year. Like, they're going to come in with no fear whatsoever. The Sharkies have taken an extra step this year. Canterbury will actually have a pre-season together.
Eels will be better.
It's shaped. South Sydney should get some players on the field.
You got the Raiders who'll be better next year, hopefully, if Sanders kills it. What do you think of the Melbourne Storm, mate, and the performance by them?
Yeah, I mean, it was one I expected them to close out. I thought they were probably the one team that if they got to a lead, given who's in their spine and stuff, they'd be able to manage the game well enough to close it out. They got close, as we said, with the Kamakamitha try that was well saved by Walsh. Look, they got so close, though, at the end. Being there live, they were on the far side of the field, but, they did very well for Pappenhausen not to score there at the end of the Broncos. Like, I thought they had their moment there to maybe win it. But, yeah, it will be the one that got away from them because they've been the favourites for, I think, all bar about 2 rounds of the season. But there was never that sense through the season that they'd fully clicked and taken. Maybe with the exception of when they hammered the Tigers 64-0. But apart from that, they never really... I just never felt like that's the Storm playing at their best this year. So, yeah, they've left a little bit on the table. You said the Pappy thing might have been a bit of a distraction through the week. Another not very Melbourne Storm moment was the Stefano throwing a bit of shade. That I'm sure might have fired a few of the Broncos boys up as well. So, yeah, maybe
don't say that about Mr. Stand-Up Business. You don't call Mr. Stand-Up Business stuck up.
You can't say that.
He's working on a weekend.
You can't do it on a public holiday. But, there's just a few things there that were a little bit distracting. I'm sure Craig wouldn't have been thrilled with them getting towards the game.
Oh, man, it stings me to say this because I'm such a fan of both boys. But, geez, I thought Harry Grant and Munster just weren't there last night. Like, I think before the last 5 minutes or something, Munster had 3 runs. 3 runs. Harry Grant, like, he got out of dummy half in the first half once and nearly bloody made a line break, like tore us apart. I was, honestly, I'll be honest, I was shocked beyond belief at how they don't necessarily have to kill it like every single game. They're human beings. But just how little they tried to kill it in the sense that, granted, I know that the backing and throwing and the way it's all going, sometimes you just get caught up in the washing machine. But I just thought at the very least, if we're going to have a critique of Munster or Grant, it'll be they tried too hard. Like they ran the ball too much. Harry Grant was scheming too much. And I just think, I was just shocked. I just thought that those guys were going to, if there was ever going to be a knock, it'd be too much.
We talk about, I was with mates last night at the game. We were talking about how a couple of years ago, like in the NFL, for example, with Tom Brady at the back end of his career, the best way to defend Tom Brady was to keep the ball out of his hands, keep your defence on the field. I felt the same way with Melbourne last night. Brisbane just starved the spine of possession last night. They just didn't have opportunities. If you have a look in the first half, the Storm had 13 minutes of possession. In the second half, they had 12 minutes. Not a huge change. The Broncos, though, first half, they had 11 minutes and 25 seconds. In the second half, that's 16 minutes and 35 seconds.
Wow.
They just didn't give them opportunities. They just kept the ball out of their hands. And it was only in the last 5 or 6 minutes that I sort of felt like, okay, Melbourne's starting to get some ball down the end here. And then it was just grit and determination they held on for.
Far out. What are your thoughts on the Munster Grant performance?
Yeah, very disappointed. Incredibly disappointed. I think that, especially from Cam Munster, I really thought that was going to be his moment.
Yeah.
He just stood up and absolutely exploded. I think he finished with like 100 run meters, but mate, I think at half time he was on like 18 or something. Like,
it was genuinely the last 5 minutes where he made that line break and
Yeah.
that. Outside of that, I
don't know. I was just waiting for that, and I come back to it again. If Munster has that try assist for Tui, he puts in a kick in, they score. I think it's a completely different game of football.
Yep.
I thought Hughes had a good game. I thought Eli Katoa had some really
We'll get to
good
Katoa. My
moments.
God.
I expected a lot more out of Munster and Grant because I have so much respect for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give me thoughts, mate.
They were certainly disappointing. Like Harry in particular had moments of scheme where he looked good and looked dangerous, but he normally does that once every 5-10 minutes because he's so good. And I think a lot of it is credit to the Broncos middles who did a good enough job to limit the ruck speed and the play the ball speed to allow these opportunities, but they did have these momentum swings, as I mentioned before, where they were rolling through the middle, and you just think Munster and Grant, they feast off those. They only need 5-6 minute windows where they go bang bang and can finish a game, and they just didn't take these opportunities like we've seen them do time and time again.
Yeah, I wonder because there'd be a reason for it. Like sometimes it's very easy for us to be critical, but sometimes when you're out there's certain things are happening that stop it. But that's what I'm with you, Timmy. Like there were times where there was a roll and was opportunities for the Melbourne Storm to flood the middle and do what they do so well. And I'm just really surprised.
Well, I wonder, hard to say without being out there, but did the Broncos just compress quite tight? Because they were quite leaky on the edges, and it wasn't if the Storm didn't have plenty of success in attack. Like, they cut through them numerous times.
Yeah.
It was all on the edges. I wonder if Brisbane went, all right, if they're going to get us, it's not going to be through the middle where they get a quick play of the ball of Stefano, Harry goes, Munster goes, Hughes go, and they smash through us and we can't recover. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it on the edges. And maybe they were just that tighter and they did enough through the middle that they said, let them have their fun on the edges. I'm just trying to make
it mate, it's a tough one because I thought the same thing, but I checked the average play the ball speed. They had 3.3 seconds. The Broncos had 3.6. So they were substantially quicker on the play the ball. Mate, look, maybe it's another Madge masterclass. Maybe there's things that we're not seeing that they just identified that maybe they worked Harry Grant over in defence maybe and he was a bit fatigued in attack. Mate, what do you think about Harry Grant and Munster?
Yeah, a little bit quiet, and probably expected them to lift and be up for it, given the fact they were there last year as well and had a bit of an axe to grind. But, yeah, Grant started well, took a few little scoots early in the game and I thought, here we go. But, yeah, Munster really sort of struggled to get in the game, which is, very unlike him, particularly in a big game like this. So, yeah, certainly not their best performance and, probably telling in the final result.
Well, let's get some positive before we keep going negative. Katoa was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, if you ever had any questions about this guy being a premier top-tier back rower, it's just over. Like, the performance he had, the amount of different things that he offered, whether it was hard ball running and getting meters, or it was cut-out ball steal winger, or it was catching bombs, or it was getting tries off kicks, he had everything. Literally everything. Even when the game was on the line, he made the break.
Yeah. How good was the try that he set up where he threw the cutout pass, but he had Pappy on his inside? I was fully expecting that one that they used to do with Slater. I think you could see the whole Broncos line were expecting the same thing as well. They just all shrunk in and he just pulled the right rein.
Bro, just crazy. Just crazy how good he is.
I'll tell you, and I know we're getting to positives, but watching back that moment where he makes the break at the end, and you can probably talk more about it, you know more about it, but geez, Pappy was tight to him on that play.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one because
it's easier said than done.
You don't want to be too far because then the pass is tough.
Yeah.
And it's just happening so quick. You're not even thinking about that, to be honest. You're not even thinking about that. But, yeah, he made the break. Katoa, for me, over the whole game, it was Walsh, Katoa. So Katoa would be my 2 for the whole game. I just thought he was phenomenal, like really, really, really good. I thought Hughes was outstanding as well. Not the best he's ever played, but just he did exactly like every time he touched the ball, it was a problem for the Broncos. Again, still a little bit shocked though that they just didn't seem to be in their groove for long periods of time. I don't know, and maybe that's just a credit to the Broncos, but I'm trying to remember a time outside of maybe the first 10 minutes where we saw Munster, Hughes, Pappy just flooding through the middle in that kind of quick play the ball, just tearing teams apart. I don't know if we actually saw that.
We didn't.
Yeah.
I said I don't really know why. And again, I think probably at the end of the day, and need to rewatch the game and have a look at things, but I think it's just credit to the Broncos middles, and they did the job, and they didn't allow them to get those massive momentum shifts. And yeah, like you said, you mentioned Eli Katoa, he was outstanding. They had success on that edge. Joam Hughes was outstanding. I thought there's some sort of mixed reviews on Ryan Papenhuyzen, and I thought he was outstanding in this. Like, had a couple of clean bars, was very close to potentially being in position. Well, he was in position for a potential match win, except for that Reece Walsh play. But I thought he looked lethal the whole game. It was hard one to break down the middles of the storm.
I'm definitely not saying Pappy was all bad. It was just like these crucial moments that I think hurt him, because he ran for 235 metres, made a couple of line breaks, had some good coverage as well in regards to grubbers and all that. So I don't think it was all bad. I just think it was those moments that he just needed to win.
I think he got a little bit hurt off the kick that he went up for.
Yeah, okay.
I think that fucked him up. That was brutal.
Yeah, he had an early try assist. He had a few line assists. He had a late line break, the one where Walsh had him. Yeah. Geez, Walsh did well as well. He just had him covered and forced the flick back in field, which I think Warbrick probably should have caught. But again, they're chasing points late on. Like, that was out of nothing. That was tremendous to do that in a grand final.
It was off a scrum, I think.
It reminded me of his try with Penrith.
It was his try.
Yeah, and then he had some really good defensive plays and try saves as well. I thought Paps was good in this.
Yeah, there was that one. The Broncos had the little scrum play, and I think Reynolds put the kick over, and he had to get on his bike so quickly to get back and clean that up. I thought that was a really big moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I did see quite a lot of people quite negative on Pappy. I don't see it that way. I just think that because it's a grand final, we hone in on those moments, like, the one error here or there. Whether it was right or wrong for him to flick pass back in, you know what I mean? But that's what we do in Origin as well. Like, a guy can have a great game, but if in that moment, he makes the error, we just seem to focus in on it. But I think outside of those couple of moments, I thought he was great. I really do. I thought that dangerous every time he touched the ball, brave as anything. It's going to be interesting to see what happens at the Storm. Like, with Pappy, like, it just has been a bit of a weird relationship for a while now. And, heading into next year, being linked to Rugby 360, it's going to be...
Is Rugby 360 start next year or the year after?
Apparently next year, I think October.
I think it's next October. So it's a few days after the grand final. So I think that's do guys go there for pre-seasons? Do they show up on day one? What do they...
Yeah. Another guy I thought started the game really, really well, but just a couple of the errors that Warbrick made is just like... you know what? He's another case of a lot of the game he was outstanding, but just those errors were just like... Oh, man, in a grand final, like dropping the ball cold, and you just can't do it. You just cannot do it.
I thought that one as well that went between his legs over the side.
Just trap it,
have
bro.
to get down to that,
Yeah. I thought Coates was really quiet too. Like, and he only got escorted once. Like, so it's not even like it was just, underhanded tactics from the Broncos. I thought he was super, super quiet.
Yeah, I couldn't believe, and I thought they were going to maybe set up for it on that last play where they ended up just playing a bit of freestyle footy and then through the intercept. I was like, I don't think I've seen really... Maybe just the one kick to him, using him as an aerial weapon. I thought he was massively underutilised in that.
The one on the buzzer, right? Like, it seems set up for just go cross field to him.
What's the worst that's going to happen?
Well, I wonder whether they were just like, no, we know they'll give a penalty away. Like, as in, we know Broncos will just charge him. Potentially.
Yeah, but still, like,
give it a try.
Have a crack at it.
Yeah. Because that's the only thing that makes sense, though, that they were like, listen, we know the Broncos are willing to give a penalty away, so anytime we kick it over there, they're just going to escort him off.
Yeah.
But I'm with you, though. Like, it seemed designed for that moment.
Also, I'm taking that penalty. Yeah, sweet. Let him escort.
Yeah, fair. But yeah, he just didn't get that involved in the game, which he's been so good in big games recently. Coates. Well, I guess the most surprising thing is that it's a positive in the sense they only lost by 4 points, and yet nearly every single one of their top tier players didn't play their best footy outside of Katoa and Hughes. like you could, if you're looking at things at glass half full, that's pretty incredible. Like if they all were top tier and played their best of their ability, then who knows what the score would have been.
I just wonder with Melbourne, and we go back 10 years ago or so, they win the 2012 grand final, 13 they don't get a feature, 14 they don't get a feature, 15 they don't, 16 they lose, and they came back in 17 and Craig Bellamy just blew everything up and went, we're changing how we do things here. It's been too long since we've won a comp. They haven't been in 3 grand finals in a row, then they've lost 2 grand finals in a row. I'm very interested to see how they return next year.
I don't think they need much. I think you add... Do they have any middles coming yet or not?
No, I don't think so.
So if they can find one... It doesn't have to be a superstar middle, but if they can find another good middle, and then, as we said, boys, just a defensive centre.
Just a mental anguish, though, of having to get up for it again after losing another tight grand final.
Yeah, I think they're professional enough, especially with Belly out, that they can do it fine with these superstars. I just think, and it's not saying Nick Mendy doesn't have a place in this team, because he's been terrific at fullback when Paps has been out. We know he can play on the wing. I just don't think defensively he's probably there. You get a good defensive centre there, geez, that solves a lot of their headaches. Everything looks different.
Yeah, you could tell Bellyache, I mean, in the press conference, he was filthy. It's a tough one, because I know what you're saying, guys. Like, they're not far off, but there is an idea that, like, not far off is a world away. You know, like, they've been so close for 2 years. Like, does something need to change to get that extra 5%?
We're also talking about what we described at the start of the show as the best individual grand final performance of all time from Reece Walsh.
That's fair.
To beat them by 4 points.
But we are also talking about a competition that had a lot of other teams fall away at the back end of the season too. Like, I get what you're saying, they're not far away, but they lost to Cronulla by 2 points, and Craig went, fuck it, we're blowing it up, and I'm going down a completely different avenue here. And they went to they went to the next 2 grand finals in a row. They won 17, they won in 20 with a very different approach. Like, they went and signed Josh Adokar that offseason, brought him in to bring a little bit more attack to them. I think the other thing is too, as you said, Hammy, like, going back there again is going to be hard. I wonder if it is the farewell tour for Cam Munster, if that's your inspiration for next season.
Matty, what were you going to say, mate?
I wonder if Pahula will be ready next year.
He's been at the club so far.
He's been playing Cup. Queensland Cup. It's very similar to what they sort of did with Howarth, just taking their time, taking their time. I think the other thing for Melbourne next year that's worth noting is that they're actually going to have a New South Wales Cup team next year.
Oh, interesting.
So all their grades are actually going to be in-house for the first time in 20 years. So I think it's something that, you know, we obviously compliment Melbourne a lot on their system and what they've done, but so I think that, and I don't know exactly how it works, but I imagine on a Thursday afternoon, Jersey 20 to 30 flies up to Queensland. We'll see you on Monday. While all other teams are having opposed sessions and whatnot. It's going to be a huge advantage, I think.
Far out.
Well, it's going to be a huge equaliser with the rest of the comp, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, them being able to control that amount of players in their system, that's going to be very, very special.
But they've got the Jersey Fleet side. They won it this year. Like, there's players coming through there.
Crazy. They're such a good organisation. Now, I've got to say, and he didn't play, but geez, this Nelson Asafa-Solomona elephant in the room in that squad roster, it's just killing them. They're paying this big fella $800K to be this big bopper, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, whether it's him, whether it's the club, I don't know what it is, it hasn't worked out, and it's just a giant hole in their roster right now. And you know, there's talks, there's guesses that they might be going after Tino, but although Stefano was good back end of the year, he was okay he was a good start last night. They do need probably a big bopper. Like, they do need someone to, whether it's a big bopper or someone else, but someone that can just generate those quick play the balls for Pappy in that.
Can you rely on Nass as that guy anymore?
I don't think so.
Missed the last 2 grand finals. I think their body language has said it all year. I think they've shown us that they don't trust Nass to be that guy.
If Nass was playing his best football and obviously available for the grand final,
they probably win.
They probably win. Like, just everything changes.
Yeah,
I reckon they win last year too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. They've got this guy on $800K that's an absolute monster. You cannot stop him. And they could be using that money elsewhere. Like, it's just...
And he signed up for the next 2 years.
Far out.
Surely he can just get a dumb offer from R360, can't he? Like,
what's so surprising to me is, like, heading into that final, and look, Bellyache knows better than anyone, but wouldn't you just be like, listen, whatever the differences we've had, mate, I'm going to pick you off the bench. Just give me 20 minutes of the best footy you've ever played. That's all I need. That's all I need. But the fact that he couldn't even do that of Nelson, like I know
Well,
he's suspended,
wasn't he?
No, but he was,
I know he's suspended, but like he wasn't getting selected anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like throughout the whole year.
But I
he got-
assume that
in
probably
and out.
was the conversation, right? Like it was against, was it finals week 1 he got suspended? Or was it round 27?
I think it was
finals.
round 27.
Round 27, I think.
yeah.
Okay.
But that probably, you know what? That probably was the
I
conversation.
reckon that,
Mate, I
how could
just
that
need
not
20.
have been the conversation? It's the
played-
biggest time of the year. I am picking you. I just need you to do this for me.
Yeah. I don't know.
Wonder what's going on there. As I said, we don't know. Is it the Storm? Is it Nelson? We have no idea. No idea. But what we do know is Nelson is a one-of-a-kind forward that can win you matches. And, geez, I've missed
And
him.
Bellyache knows that, and he'd be sitting there like, because I'm sure Bellyache religiously listens to this podcast and gets
Of course,
our feedback.
of course.
But sitting there going, yeah, they're a middle short, they're missing that little bit to go for, and that's like Bellyache be sitting there going, we've got it.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
not available or playing very well.
Thoughts about Stefano's performance? I didn't think he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad either.
He was solid. But when you chirp up pre-game, which,
Yeah.
for the record, I love, I think you need to deliver more than what he did.
Yep. Agree.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah.
I will say, like, how far he's come though. Like, take away the chirp up. If you just looked at what he's done this year, I think it's good. I think the chirp up is what makes it like us speak about it more. But like for him to do that in a grand final, his first grand final, where he had some really good moments. I know there was that one drop ball. I think that's a good progress for him right now. You know.
Oh, he's tracking nicely.
Yeah.
I said, fantastic back end of the season. We've spoken about the impact out of Origin camp, and I said even that chirp up, it's good signs. I would love to have seen him come out and run for 150 metres and bust 10 tackles off the back of it. It hasn't happened, but I said he didn't play poorly. He just,
Have you had much to do with him at all?
Stefano?
Interviewed him or anything?
Nah, not really. He seems like a lovely fella.
Yeah, I thought it was like, I remember during the year when he got picked for Origin, they were having the camp in the Blue Mountains, and I was talking to a journo and they were about to go up there, and I said, what do you expect to get out of today? And he said, we'll just talk to him. He's like, maybe someone will say something rogue that'll be interesting, like a Stefano. And I was like, why would Stefano? And he's like, he's a bit like it. He's got it in him. And I sort of went,
Wow.
never seen anything like that. And then we
Okay.
get to grand final week. And like they asked Craig Bellamy the other day at the Fan Fest about it, and I think you could tell by Belly's body language, he was a bit like, why? What?
Why? I thought Josh King's first stint was really good. He's super solid in defence as well. I thought Blore was solid as well. I thought he was quite solid. We've already spoken about Meany, but it's just the 8 missed tackles. I know missed tackles aren't the be-all and end-all, but when you're on the edge, it kind of, not definitely is, but it's like, that's a lot. That is a lot.
missed tackles,
Yeah,
though.
shit.
Ellie Katoa's 7 missed tackles here as well.
But usually with edge back rollers, because they're the ones getting the
Yeah.
line speed, you can kind of cop that. Like you'll see Liam Martin miss 7, Kurt Catewell miss. But in the centres, if you're missing that, you're not the line speed guy. You're the last fucking line of defence.
even like I know it only lasted 14 minutes, but the Howarth missed tackle on Walsh for the opener, like shot up, read it perfectly, was there, and just fell off. It's like you
can't do that. If you're going to shoot up, you got to make it. You got to make it.
Did you say Meany 8 missed tackles? Mm-hmm. Same as last year, grand final. Made 27 to be fair, but missed 8.
Far out. I feel sorry for him. That's going to be a tough. It's just going to be a tough off season for the Storm.
If Pappy does leave, I assume Sewer will be the fullback. Do they maybe look at Meany at fullback and go and find someone to play in the centres?
I mean, Minnie has gone well recently at fullback, but they've also tried him other times and he hasn't gone. He's been okay. I feel like with the Storm, notoriously that spine has been top tier. And so I don't know whether they'd be okay with a guy that's good just at fullback, potentially.
Fair.
What's the future like for the Storm? Are they Premiership heavyweights next year? Is there anything to worry about? My personal opinion, the only thing they need to worry about is this window closing. I still put them in the same one of the teams to beat next year, but my concern is I'm not seeing, like when the big three were getting moved on, you could see the path next for the Storm. You could see Munster coming through. You could see these guys. I mean, you could see what was happening. The worry I have is that I'm a bit unsure who is next up at the Storm after this window closes if they don't win next year.
Yeah, I still think they'll be top 4 next year, and I think it'll depend on what the storyline is as far as how far they can go.
Yeah.
Like I personally, if it is Munster's last season he's going, I think there'll be a lot in that for them.
Yeah. And I mix that with them kind of subconsciously probably knowing that like we're going to have to almost go on a bit of a rebuild like we did after 2020 to a degree. And I know the Storm don't do rebuilds, but I think there will be a sense of like, this is the year. This is the year. Who do they have coming in that's going to, like, would Wishart go to Munster's position for a bit?
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
Oh, well, unless Pizzette stays there.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, I think they're really well placed next year. As you said, like this, I know it happened last year as well, but they'll be burning from this one. And, you know, Harry Grant's still young. He's only getting better and better at his craft. I think they're keeping their whole side together, really.
Yeah, definitely still in the same window.
If they can do one of two things around a soft Solomon, he's contracted till 27, 28 or something. If they can either get rid of him, free up the money and get another middle in, or just get Nash back to his best, I think, there'll be chat of how long's Bellyache. I already saw stuff during the week of the Titans trying to poach him in a not necessarily a direct coaching role, but a overseeing role. Mate, I think there'll be red hot chances to win it next year.
It's just the only tough thing is like statistically, if you've made 2 grand finals, it's like, what are the chances of making 3? Even though, like, I know stats don't matter and they're not the be all and end all, but it's like they're so hard to make grand finals. Like, just to get there is tough. To get there and win on your 3rd try, geez, like anything.
They're not tough to get there for this side though. They've been there for 2 decades.
That's true. I will say I still have them as absolutely premiership heavyweights next year. There's no doubt in my mind that they will be a problem next year if they stay fit. It's just I want to know what the plan is after that. What do you reckon, mate?
I'm with you. I think they got too much class in key positions and a really good squad. Just a couple of little gaps they can improve on there, but I can't see any reason why. Yeah, I'll probably still have them in my top 4 at this stage, you reckon? Yep, they'll go close.
All right, so I'm just looking at the stats here. At halftime, they'd had 54% possession of the ball. They had a 95% completion rate. So they'd made 1 error, I think. Yep, 1 error. Wow. 25 to 17 tackle breaks, same amount of line breaks, more post-contact meters, more run meters. So they lost, in the second half, they lost 15% of their completion rate down to 80. Shit.
If you have a look through their regular season, when they completed it 81% or more, they never lost.
No way.
Yeah, against the Raiders earlier in the season, Magic Round I think it was. They completed it 80% and lost. And I turned to my mate during the game at halftime and said 95%. They'll be okay here. And then it dropped to 80%. The exact, just that 1% below where they hadn't lost.
No way. And it was 4 points too, and it was like an inch of scoring. And like, what's funny is when I looked at that at halftime, I said, fucking here we go. We're the one team that gets up against another team that completes at 95% in a grand final. Obviously, the Penrith Panthers had 1 error the whole game. The Melbourne Storm are going to do it to us too. And thank the footy gods that didn't happen. But yeah, I reckon they're going to look at that 12-minute period, or maybe 15 minutes either side of like the Reece Walsh 12-minute, like where they scored 3 tries. And I reckon there's going to be a couple of areas they're just going to be like, fuck. Bellamy said it after in the press conference, we just did not play smart footy. And they're just, it was so uncharacteristic. And as I said, I felt like they just got caught up in the rapidness that the Broncos seem to do when they get in that mode. And that's just not who they are. Like, if they just had kept it simple going through the middle, I feel like Hughes would have found some way, Munster would have found some way.
They looked to me, especially early on, like that they were trying to fight fire with fire. They were using the ball a lot. Yeah. They were going wide and they had some success, don't get me wrong, but maybe once they got that lead, did they have to be a bit more conservative? Like they had the points. I don't know.
Well, in the first half, they were getting ground because they were just going through the middle, quick play the balls. And I feel like, that last 20, when that energy increased, they just were going side to side and maybe, I'm not sure, but definitely one they're going to look back on and just go, wow, like that was the one got away. Like that was the one that got away. But they'll be good next year. They'll be good. The challenge still awaits though, can they win without the greats? Can they win without the greats? That is the question. And the Melbourne Storm have a higher bar than anyone else. It's 2 grand finals in 2 years. It's 11 grand finals in 20 years. It's just unbelievable. This sporting, like we've sat, well, at least I'll speak for myself. I've sat here and been critical of them in this grand final. They lost by 4 points against a side that had the greatest individual grand final performance we've ever seen. Like, that's pretty bloody good. That's pretty bloody good. Like, I know it's hard to swallow as a Storm fan, but They went down swinging. It just sometimes, funnily enough, it's a little bit what happened with the Broncos in their grand final. They were ahead by all those points, and it took Cleary doing a once-in-a-lifetime thing to win it. You kind of just step back and go, you know what, that's greatness. And I think the Melbourne Storm might have to just step back and go, you know what, Reece Walsh, enjoy it.
And you blokes both just said how bloody hard it is to make NRL grand finals. It's a hell of a lot harder to win them. So and they came within a whisker.
A whisker. Like that, if Walsh doesn't land on Pappy, it is, imagine.
If Brick catches that ball, if Tui gets that ball down, if Walsh doesn't make that tackle, like there's a million moments there that it could have changed completely.
Far out. Alrighty. Any no face music this week?
No, week off before we have a bit of a refresh for the Ashes in a couple of weeks.
Okay, we need to get a face music trophy for my inaugural year.
Fuck me.
For an inaugural year.
Of course we do.
No, but
Get my face on it.
Old system. They were playing the old system last year.
Yep.
Old system last year. This is the new harder system for the pros.
Well, and also all those selections you had for Face the Music last week were presented as a multi on the app, and I think about 800 punters got on it. So
Yeah, I got a few messages going. Thanks, Kempy.
there you go. Well done.
Yeah, you're welcome. No worries.
That's
That's
get yourself a minor premiership as well?
Sorry.
A trophy for the minor premiership as well? Or did he get
Maybe.
that?
Yeah, preseason
Did
trials.
he get that or did you get that?
Well, we both, because he works for me, so it's technically mine. And also, I just did what the Broncos did. It's an ambush, mate. You don't win the minor premiership, you win the premiership. Anyway, an ambush 5 years in the making. I said it was ambush season. I said the beauty about ambushes is you don't know when they're coming. And this is when it was all planned. 5 years ago, we said in 2025, we'll go on a run. Reece Walsh will have the best performance we've ever seen. Ambush complete. We'll go fuck ourselves. Thank you.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.